Time, late May, the transition from late spring to early summer. The warm sunlight stretches across the city of San Gabriel, a small coastal town on the west coast of the United States, where modern life blends with historic neighborhoods. The morning air is cool, with a hint of sea breeze drifting through the vibrant red blossoms of the royal poinciana trees, weaving through the white-tiled streets. Location: Marigold Cafe, situated at the corner of Bethany and Elm, right near the Metro Investigative Office building. The cafe occupies a renovated brick building in a style that blends classical and modern aesthetics: exposed cement walls, dark brown wooden window frames, polished walnut tables and chairs, and scattered potted orchids giving off a gentle fragrance. Arlen Montclair stepped out of the Montclair family's sleek black sedan and strode confidently along the tiled sidewalk. He wore a dark navy vest, an ash-gray tie, and polished leather shoes that reflected the early morning sunlight. Tall and poised, his angular face, with a square jaw and hazel eyes shimmering, betrayed the perpetual reserve of an undercover detective. Recalling the case from 3 years ago, when he was tasked with posing as a real estate businessman, Arlen understood all the more that he must shed the Montclair name, once the bright star of a wealthy family, to enter the ruthless world of organized crime. He had once reveled in being the eldest son of the Montclairs, receiving an elite education, inheriting vast wealth, yet he always yearned to serve justice. That was why, despite his parents' objections, he applied to join the Metro Police and was selected for the elite undercover unit M09, the most skilled covert task force. Arlen exhaled softly and adjusted the white shirt collar beneath his vest, attempting to suppress any inner wavering. Today, he was scheduled to meet Elora Whitfield, the woman the Montclair family had chosen for him as a bride. When he first heard the proposal of a matchmaking wedding, Arlen merely sighed, another performance, pretending to embrace marital bliss. He had never believed in love arranged by one's family. But this assignment served a primary purpose: to curry favor with Mrs. Humphrey, a major Montclair business partner, while hiding the fact that he was being pulled out of M09 for another mission. In Arlen's mind, this impending marriage was no more than another mask to conceal his true identity until the opportune moment arrived. So, although he had assented to his parents' request, he remained distant and guarded. Deep down, however, he longed to find a woman who would make him put aside the mantle he wore. He wanted to stand beside someone without having to be constantly on guard. Placing a hand on the white-painted wooden door, Arlen inhaled deeply. His mind flooded with images of 3 years confronting human traffickers and transnational criminals. He still remembered the day his close comrade, Trent, fell on Grenadier Street, blood pooling on the pavement as they chased a drug lord. That memory haunted him, Trent's final gentle smile as life ebbed away in Arlen's arms. Arlen had once sworn to wield his blade against evil, but under his new guise, he had deceived hundreds of people. That journey had once made him lose faith in himself. Gazing at his reflection in the cafe's glass door, Arlen mentally reminded himself, Arlen Montclair, you are not a socialite. You are a cop. But your family needs a pawn to win over Mrs. Humphrey. The script is already written. Everything now awaited the moment to be unveiled. He stifled his anxiety about the mission to come, straightened his tie, and stepped inside. Elora Whitfield, not yet 30, petite in build, her chestnut hair gently waved over her shoulders, usually pinned half up for simplicity, sat at a corner table beside the window, looking out at the poinciana trees budding in crimson blooms. Her pastel floral dress accentuated a gentle, feminine grace. On the table, a cup of steaming oolong tea sat next to a small packet of documents, a reference letter from the local education department, confirming she had graduated from Rivershire University's School of Education and was teaching at Riverside Elementary School nearby. Elora exuded a peaceful modesty. She was the only child of a family of common school teachers. Her mother taught literature, and her father worked as a carpenter. From childhood, Elora was accustomed to the cozy atmosphere of the wooden table by the country-style window where her mother graded papers and her father placed his old engraving machine. Her greatest dream was to open a free library for underprivileged children in rural areas. Today, Elora had been waiting at Marigold since early morning, her heart fluttering with both trepidation and anticipation. This was her first meeting with Arlen Montclair, someone she had never laid eyes on. Family, friends, and acquaintances had all advised caution, warning her that the Montclair name came not only with wealth but also with authority and ulterior motives. She quietly stared out the window. Will he be like my mother said, marrying into the Montclairs means feasting off a fat pig? Or like friends warned, be careful, you might just be a facade? Yet Elora chose to trust in hope. She dreamed of a simple love, of being cherished by a husband, sharing lessons and leisurely strolls together. She closed her eyes and told herself, if he is not kind, I will gently refuse. I don't need to rely on lofty mountains, I only need someone beside me. She took a sip of tea, the warm aroma filled her chest and made her heart flutter. Elora thought, I'll keep things simple. I can't afford designer gowns, only a sincere gaze and a warm smile. She adjusted her lightweight white scarf and inhaled deeply to steady her nerves. Her eyes flickered with sadness at thoughts of her parents having to sell their home while she studied abroad, and of colleagues whispering, Ms. Whitfield is about to marry into the Montclairs. But Elora did not allow herself to linger in sorrow. She murmured, I worked hard to earn my teaching degree. Now I will stand beside my husband, but I will not lose myself. I will be a gentle wife, his strong support, so he can be at ease. As she waited, images of her elementary students flickered through Elora's mind, those innocent eyes eager to listen whenever she held up a storybook on her first day of class. She recalled the admiration in the poorest boy's eyes when she gave him a new notebook and his clumsy hug in thanks. In those moments, Elora felt her heart warm. She hoped to have a complete home to bring back for those children. She smiled gently, even if I enter a world of wealth, I won't forget my roots. I will nurture kindness alongside a husband who has drive, whether he is a cop or a businessman is just a title. Then the cafe door opened, and a tall figure stepped in. Arlen Montclair stood in the interplay of shadows and light, the sun haloing his forehead in a radiant outline. His gaze swept the room, then settled on Elora's table as he approached. Arlen gave a rare, slight, polite smile when he saw Elora gesturing to an empty seat. He sat down, maintaining a respectful distance. Between them was enough space for each to have their own world, yet close enough to feel each other's breath. Arlen thought, she really is petite. Her gentle eyes and simple hair. Perhaps she's the one person who won't be too troublesome tying her fate to the Montclairs. Elora bowed her head in greeting, then looked up, her round black eyes wide. Hello, Arlen. I'm very honored to meet you. Her voice was warm and gentle, each word blooming like a shy orchid. Arlen responded succinctly, the pleasure is mine. Thank you for arriving on time. His words carried a hint of awkwardness, surprising Elora. She wondered, he's usually so cold, why is he so flustered now? Marigold was quiet at this hour. Soft jazz music drifted from the overhead speakers. The scent of drip brewed espresso lingered, its bitterness mingled with a hint of vanilla in the air. Outside the window, the sea breeze slipped in, brushing Arlen's vest and Elora's hair. A few regulars exchanged hushed words, their curious glances passing over the pair. In a corner, the barista and a colleague were huddled, discussing a VIP afternoon tea order. Everything seemed to pause as Arlen and Elora sat facing each other, like two parallel worlds drawn toward a single intersection. Elora smiled, her eyes sparkling. Do you like the atmosphere here? I often come to savor a cup of tea before class. She pointed to the steaming oolong on the table, the wisps of steam formed a hazy painting. Arlen nodded, his gaze drifting into the cup. Very good. I've never tried oolong. I usually have black coffee in the morning. He toyed with the cup as if to mask his tension. I heard from my mother that you teach elementary school. Which grade? Elora's eyes brightened. Yes, I teach 3rd grade at Riverside Elementary. The students there are very affectionate. I love this job because each day brings something new. Children are curious, they ask everything under the sun. I always try to explain in a way they can understand. She exhaled dreamily, her eyes shining with a passion to spread knowledge. Arlen nodded, looking directly into her eyes. Do you ever want to teach in a larger city? He was curious about Elora's down-to-earth openness. Usually, elementary teachers dreamed of bustling city schools with abundant opportunities. Elora smiled softly. I love Riverside because I grew up here. Every street corner, every blossom is tied to my childhood. Teaching these children is how I preserve memories and nurture hope for the future. Arlen listened, feeling a contraction in his chest. I've heard your former teacher praise your enthusiasm. He paused, gazing into the distance. Do you have a specific dream in your work? Elora tilted her head in thought. I dream of opening a free library for children in impoverished areas. I've been saving part of my salary to buy books. But lately, I can't save much because my family is renovating the ground floor. She gave a bittersweet smile. My parents hope I have a warm family. Maybe this is the opportunity. Arlen sat quietly, absorbing her words. Outside, the distant wail of a police siren reminded him of his undercover identity. He tried to view Elora as a stranger, but every word she spoke flowed like warm fire into his frozen heart. She is truly gentle, he thought. In her world, everything is simple, pure, and sincere. Meanwhile, I must always remain hidden. He felt a tightening in his chest when she spoke of her dream of a library. Through her simple love, he saw an escape from all the complex schemes. Deep inside, Arlen wondered, if she is the person I spend my life with, could I ever leave the undercover world to share family meals and listen to innocent children's stories? Or will I always stand on the line between justice and love? Arlen took a sip of hot black coffee. The clink of the cup sounded like his heartbeat. He leaned forward, eyes fixed on Elora. I will try to support your dream. I know I've never thought about embracing words like you do, but if you want, I will help. Elora gasped, her eyes reddening. I didn't expect you, the only son of the Montclairs, to care about such simple things. She clutched the cup's rim, her voice trembling. I feel so lucky to talk with you. For the first time, Arlen truly smiled. Me too. He lifted his eyes from the cup to look at her. You can just call me Arlen. No need for Mr. Montclair or officer. I want you to see the real me. Elora tilted her head slightly, as if to confirm, all right. I'll call you Arlen. In that moment, it seemed the world around them quieted. The two sat facing each other, with only their own story between them. When the cafe clock ticked closer to 10 a.m., Arlen checked his watch. He glanced at his phone, where a maintenance notice and all communication lines were locked. He said quietly, Elora, I must leave early. There's urgent business at the station. Elora frowned slightly. Urgent business? She sensed a hint of worry in his tone but still smiled. Did you make up for this morning's work? Arlen shook his head. I'll handle it later. Today is an internal meeting. My mother wants me to pick up Mrs. Humphrey to discuss a charitable fundraising contract. To be honest with you, that meeting relates to our marriage. Elora's brow furrowed, but she nodded gently. I understand. Your family has planned carefully, right? She tried to keep her voice calm. Arlen clenched his fist for a moment before loosening it. I promise I'll see you again soon. I wish I could share more with you, but now. This is important for my family. I hope you understand. His eyes held an indescribable sympathy. Elora swallowed hard, her heart racing. Yes. I'll wait for your news. She lowered her head and silently wrote on a scrap of paper, "Please stay safe." Arlen stood, bowed slightly, and bid her farewell, until next time. He opened the door and stepped out. The sea breeze rustled his vest, and swirling poinciana leaves seemed to wave goodbye. Elora looked after his retreating figure, her chest tightening. She recalled his genuine smile and his distant yet determined gaze. She folded the small note and pressed it to her warm palm. "I hope he is not just a facade. I hope we will write a true story together." The cafe returned to its normal rhythm, clattering pots, the espresso machine's hiss, quiet chatter. But for Elora, everything felt changed. She stood, stepped outside, lifted an umbrella, and let the sea breeze brush her face. She thought, maybe tomorrow or the day after, I will learn more about Arlen Montclair, but right now, I feel something. Life has turned a new page. From a distance, Arlen walked toward the Metro Police parking area. A faint joy stirred in his chest, a spark of hope at seeing Elora. He thought, if she accepts me, maybe I can step away from the undercover battlefield and live a normal life. But first, I must fulfill my duty to my family. As for Elora, she walked slowly, inhaling the salty air tinged with sweat. Her heart overflowed, though her steps still carried a trace of uncertainty. Do I dare give up everything to live by his side? Will the rosy life I imagined become reality? And so, the marriage arranged by family and duty revealed its first blemish. The two did not yet fully belong to each other, each still cautious. Yet in that meeting, a bud began to sprout: hope, trust, and, of course, doubt. Both were stunned, unaware that in that instant, fate had silently chosen its course. The next morning, as the first rays of dawn were still fragile, Arlen Montclair woke before Elora. He slowly opened his eyes, listening to the sea breeze drifting through the bedroom window of the Montclair mansion, a magnificent estate set amid a garden of exotic roses and pine trees. He suddenly recalled yesterday's moment when they parted from Marigold, Elora's gaze still veiled by shyness, yet shining with genuine trust and hope. He sat up, peering at the opaque white wedding ring on his ring finger, then gently tossed aside the thin silk blanket. Beneath his feet, the thick cream-colored wool rug embraced his bare feet with warmth. Arlen quietly walked to the large tempered glass window and gazed at the blooming rose bushes, admiring the morning dew resting on their petals like a miniature universe. He thought, she's sleeping soundly on this expensive bed. How much of the real me does she truly understand? Deep inside, he carried a lingering worry: could he genuinely give this woman a peaceful life, or would it be another path stained with blood and danger? Nonetheless, he resolved to protect Elora with sincere care, at least until the moment he slipped away. His phone alarm rang at 6:30 a.m. Arlen turned it off, smoothed the few silver hairs in his neatly trimmed stubble, and headed to the bathroom. Steam rose as he turned on the hot shower, letting the warm water wash away his weariness. While showering, he replayed his dream of yesterday, Elora's radiant smile when he asked about her dream of opening a library. His heart throbbed with a surprising emotion, no longer responsibility, but a longing to keep her heart forever. Leaving the shower, Arlen donned a white shirt and tied his navy tie before descending to the kitchen. The Montclair kitchen was vast, with a smooth white marble island and matte oak cabinetry. A Tuscan landscape oil painting on the wall lent a cozy ambience. Crystal chandeliers sparkled as the sun streamed in. Elora emerged from the bedroom, her floral silk nightgown slightly rumpled from sleep. Her eyes were drowsy but alight with joy. She smiled when she saw Arlen waiting by the breakfast table, where espresso, croissants, and sunny side-up sandwiches with avocado spread had been arranged. "Good morning, Arlen," Elora said softly as she slipped on the fluffy slippers. She approached the table, lips pursed before breaking into a smile. "I'll head to school a bit early. I want to make my history lesson lively." Arlen nodded solemnly. "I'll cook us breakfast quickly, then I have to head to the office for some paperwork." He pulled out a chair for her. They sipped their first coffee in silence, only the hiss of milk frothing audible from the espresso machine. Elora leaned forward, narrowing her eyes to awaken herself. Are you well? Did you sleep last night? Arlen smiled, a tender glint in his eyes. Very well. I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday, and I feel lucky to have you by my side. He paused, lips pressed together, looking at her. Did you sleep well? Elora shyly nodded. Yes, I slept well. I thought about my students at school and my dream of opening a library. It felt peaceful. Arlen furrowed his brow, engraving her image in his mind, the small woman with a grand dream. The soft clink of a fork against a croissant sounded as he dipped a warm piece into his coffee. Elora enjoyed dipping her sandwich into the creamy avocado spread, their flavors mingling with the crispness of French bread. The sweet atmosphere seemed to blend with springtime in San Gabriel. Elora asked quietly, I'm thinking of tutoring in the evenings, saving money to open the library. What do you think? Arlen lifted his fork and looked at her. I will support you. If you want to open a library, I will use my family's business connections to find book sources and sponsors. Elora's eyes shone with delight. Really? I'm so moved. I didn't dare think you would be willing. Arlen smiled, leaning down to kiss her forehead. I'm serious. You deserve a home full of books. In that moment, tears welled in Elora's eyes. She had thought a marriage arranged by family would be hollow, but now she felt stirred. Maybe this is a beautiful beginning, she thought. When she mentioned tutoring, Arlen frowned slightly. Don't teach too late, your health matters. Besides elementary school, you need time for yourself. Elora shook her head. I'll tutor only 2 evenings a week. I love my job, and opening a library needs to start soon. Arlen nodded approvingly. All right, I support you. Later, if you see an interesting economic or history documentary, I'll take you to watch it. Their conversation faded into the soft music as they enjoyed breakfast, a small trial of married life. On the first Monday morning after the wedding, Elora donned a crisp white blouse, tied her hair in a low bun, and slung her simple handbag over her shoulder. She kissed Arlen goodbye and walked to the garage. The charcoal SUV glided through the early light, taking her along the familiar tiled street, passing by the Violet Cafe, where she often stopped for a vanilla latte on Monday mornings. Riverside Elementary buzzed with children's laughter in the morning. Elora stepped onto the podium, the pristine chalkboard gleamed in the sunlight. Inside the classroom, young Jackson raised his hand. Ms. Elora, I have a question about the field trip to the History Museum. You mentioned the first train, but I don't understand how it was invented. Elora smiled warmly. That's about how people moved from point A to point B, not just wheels turning. The first trains ran on steam with billowing black smoke. Imagine you're the engineers of the old days, figuring out how to build something so powerful. The students beamed, and Elora taught with illustrated posters and an enthusiastic voice. Each day at school was an adventure with curious questions. Back at the Montclair mansion, when Elora's SUV pulled in at the gate, Arlen, wearing sunglasses, stood by a porch column. He looked up and offered a gentle smile when he saw Elora wave. You were back? He said, lifting his sunglasses. His cold demeanor softened. Elora nodded and smiled. Are you well? The weather out there is sunny. I was worried you might get heat exhaustion. Arlen smiled lightly. I'm fine. Go inside and have some cold water, then rest. She nodded and stepped out of the car. Her hands trembled slightly as she waved the driver away before carrying her bag inside. Arlen followed with a courteous motion to open the door for his wife. During the first week, Arlen and Elora experienced serene days, each moment filled with familiarity. On Sunday afternoon, they went shopping together. Arlen drove their luxury sedan, Elora carefully selected produce. She held the basket, gently pressing each tomato, while Arlen handled the shopping cart controls. He showed her how to pick ripe cherries, grinning like a teenager. Remember to wash them before eating. That evening, they watched a movie in the family's entertainment room. The Montclair's home theater featured a 65-inch screen and surround sound. Arlen placed his hand on the sofa, pulling Elora to lean on his shoulder. She rested her head, munching salty buttered popcorn, her eyes reflecting joy. They watched Roman Holiday with Audrey Hepburn, absorbed in the romantic dialogue. When Audrey and Gregory Peck shared a kiss under the moonlight, Elora looked up at Arlen. "Do you find it cute?" Arlen half smiled. "Very cute. But I prefer stories with daring action." Elora teased. "I don't like fighting scenes. I prefer simple love stories." Arlen stroked her hair. "I promise I'll watch more like this if you stay by my side." Early one morning, they exercised by the small pond in the garden. The Montclair mansion had an oval lotus pond surrounded by granite stones. They ran together, listening to the gentle flow of water and chirping sparrows. Arlen offered a faint smile as he paced. "This is your first time running with me, but you're still stronger." Elora squinted, out of breath. "I used to jog in Riverside Park, so I'm used to it." She perspired, the morning sun filtering through the trees, beads of sweat glittering like jewels. Arlen inhaled deeply, taking in her silhouette under the dawn sunlight. It awakened memories of his childhood, racing to school, and made him realize the value of peace with a wife. A week later, on a Thursday night, the couple prepared dinner together in their large kitchen. Arlen stood by the stove, cooking green papaya chicken soup, a recipe he learned from his mother in childhood. Elora arranged lettuce, tomatoes, and cheese, mixing a vinaigrette. The invigorating aroma of sautéed garlic and onions filled the room. At the dining table, candlelight flickered on an intricately carved wooden box, a wedding gift Elora had commissioned from a New England artisan. They sat facing each other with steaming bowls of soup. Elora picked a sprig of coriander. "Could you add a bit more pepper to the soup?" Arlen scooped a spoonful of soup, sprinkling black pepper and a pinch of cilantro on top before offering it to her. Elora smiled, dipping her lips, nibbling the cilantro stem. "This flavor reminds me of home. My mother used to make chicken soup when I was sick." "You cook well." Arlen's lips curved in contentment. "I try my best. I want you to feel warmth when you eat." Elora gazed at him. "You want me to live happily?" They paused, candlelight dancing. Arlen looked at Elora tenderly. "I still remember you smiling about your students and your dream of a library this morning. I've already started finding books and contacting my father's friend in New York to lend support." Elora flushed, embarrassed. "You hid this from me?" I'm so grateful." Arlen inhaled deeply, voice soft. "I only want you to know I truly support your dream. You don't need to prove anything." His sincerity showed in every crease around his eyes. Elora felt a warmth spread through her chest. She lifted her bowl hesitantly. "Do you ever regret this?" Arlen set down his spoon and looked at her. "Regret? Sometimes I regret not knowing sooner. My life might have been different. But I don't regret choosing you." Elora, moved, replied, "I don't regret it either." They shared the meal, their hands touching across the candlelit table, as hope and happiness began to blossom. One early evening in another week, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the Montclairs strolled around the lotus pond. The water lay still, pink lotus flowers displaying their petals. A faint fragrance wafted on the breeze. Elora collapsed onto a wooden bench, tears in her eyes. "Today I miss home so much." She turned to him, her forehead furrowed. "I think about my parents and the Riverside home. We moved so far away. I'm not sure I'm strong enough." Arlen sat beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You'll get used to it. After a month, you'll adapt. What matters most is you and me together. My parents respect your decisions. Elora looked at him and silently smiled. You like this calm warmth too? Aren't you too stressed about being a police officer? Arlen sighed, his eyes clouding. My work doesn't allow me to relax. But I try to protect you from all troubles. He grasped her soft hand. I won't let you be alone. Elora's heart raced. I feel safe with you, even though everything seems so different. Arlen gently pulled her into his arms. Rest easy, everything will be okay. They sat in silence under the vivid sunset, letting the lotus pond's reflection merge past, present, and future. Inside the Montclair mansion, a small library faced the master bedroom. There, Arlen's parents had kept thousands of rare books. On their wedding day, Elora carefully arranged a dark brown leather armchair with a golden silk cushion at her back. The ebony bookshelves gleamed on each shelf, the leather-bound volumes embossed with gilded letters. That night, after tucking Elora into bed, Arlen returned to the library, switching on a soft yellow desk lamp. He opened a small safe, where confidential files related to the M09 operation were stored, and quietly reviewed the documents. On the desk lay folders stamped top secret in bold, faded lines beside photos of masked officers sent from Sierra Leone. He exhaled, gently touching a photograph of himself and Trent's smile still gentle. It's been 3 years. He muttered, Trent, I'm sorry I prevented you from protecting me. You died, and I survived, but I've had to keep silent, push aside my feelings. His voice faltered. Then he remembered his mother's words, Arlen, I don't want to force you, but the Montclairs need a strong front. Mrs. Humphrey will agree only after we finalize this marriage. He bit his lip, replaced the dossier in the safe, locked it, and concealed the key in a secret drawer beneath the desk. He promised himself, in another month, I'll meet Mrs. Humphrey. Most importantly, I must keep up the charade. Elora must never learn the truth. Elora's bedroom was meticulously decorated in soft feminine hues, white voile curtains, a pastel pink plush rug, and embroidered throw pillows. A desk abutted the wall, housing her books and a retro brass desk lamp. On the shelf stood a few keepsakes from her students, a drawing of her smiling face and a mug printed with Ms. Whitfield is the best teacher. Wednesday morning, Elora brushed her teeth, washed her face, and lightly applied makeup, giving her cheeks a rosy glow. She tightened her low braid and rolled her laptop open, checking her email from the education department. An invitation to a national education conference in Seattle appeared on her screen. Elora smiled. Next year, I will attend. Hopefully, I can network to build the library. She picked up her phone and called Riverside to inquire about her class, then scrolled through the Facebook group where teachers shared lesson plans. Suddenly, a message popped up from an unfamiliar number. Congratulations, Ms. Whitfield. You have won apartment 12A in City Center's social housing lottery. Elora frowned and texted back quickly, Who is this? The response contained price lists and application instructions. She smiled, thinking, this apartment is near my school, convenient for parents visiting. As she left the room, she glanced back at the painting gifted on her first day of class. That year, her class had 30 students, so chaotic. Now, she realized how much she had grown. She placed a hand on her heart. Even living amid this grand mansion, I remain the simple teacher. I must carry that sincerity to my students. The week passed peacefully. On Friday, Elora returned home after her last class of the week. She recalled how the students had participated in an outdoor mural activity, painting their worn school walls with animal and landscape images in bright colors. Hearing their giggles and seeing their innocent eyes made her forget all her troubles. Arriving at the mansion, she saw Arlen waiting in the foyer, wearing a brown leather jacket, his face pensive. She inhaled, approached him, and reached for his hand. Did you have a good day? Arlen simply kissed her hand. Go rest. Tonight, I want to discuss going to Seattle with you. I'm arranging my work schedule. Elora's heart leapt. Really? I'm so eager. She smiled, but then noticed a chill in his eyes. Arlen looked at her for a moment, his expression heavy. Do you want something to eat? I'll make garlic butter shrimp. You like that dish? Elora nodded and followed him into the kitchen. Soon the kitchen filled with the rhythmic sound of chopping onions, shrimp sizzling in the pan, and the cheerful crackle of a hot pan. She sat and meticulously chopped fresh herbs, eyes quietly observing him, something glittering in her gaze. Is something bothering you? Arlen tilted the pan, his hands moving deftly. He answered softly, I'm just worried you're overworking. Then he paused, turned to look at her, his eyes thoughtful. Also, I have a new business trip coming up. Elora suddenly put down her knife and stood up. A business trip? When? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Her eyes brimmed with concern. Arlen started, took a sip of white wine, and forced a smile. I just received my orders this afternoon. This trip is rather urgent. I'll finalize everything, then I have to go. Elora's eyes widened. You said this morning there was no trip. Why tell me now? Her voice trembled, her heart racing. What kind of work is it? Where will you be? I want to go with you. Arlen was silent for a moment, then refilled her glass. This is an undercover mission in the southwest, near the Mexico border. I can't take you along. It's highly confidential. Don't worry, I'll be in touch regularly. Elora's hand trembled as she drank, swallowing through a lump in her throat. Will you be gone a month? 2 months. I can't live here alone that long. She set down her plate, tears spilling over. I'm scared. Arlen bowed his head, pressing his forehead to the wood table. I'm sorry. I didn't want to hide it, but this mission is top secret. Only after it's done can I report to my wife. He looked up, his eyes filled with regret. Please trust me. I will return. Elora buried her head in his shoulder, sobbing. You promised not to abandon me. I can't endure this anymore. Arlen leaped up and embraced her. I know. I'm sorry. He tightened his hold. I never want you to suffer. But if I don't go, many lives will be lost. She lifted her head, eyes swollen. Why is your work more important than our happiness? I just need you here. We could build our future together. Arlen stared at her, tears in his eyes. I am but one link in a larger plan. You must understand. I'll finish as soon as possible and come back to you. Elora collapsed on his shoulder, her sobs thick. Arlen stroked her hair, his heart in turmoil. I have to go. Please forgive me. All evening, they sat facing each other at the dinner table. The meal grew cold. The golden light cast her silent figure, shoulders trembling. Every bite fell untouched on her plate. Arlen could only watch her cry, feeling helpless as his heart rent in two. On the final Saturday before his departure, Arlen took Elora for a walk around the city. They crossed the central rose garden set between two main streets, where Montclair's had often hosted fundraising events for education. Roses bloomed and fragrances filled the breeze. Elora still cried softly, hiding her tears behind a quiet gaze. Will you be okay? Arlen took her hand, his eyes uneasy. Elora withdrew her hand, her gown fluttering. I'll be strong. I will endure. You must do your duty. I will wait for you. She forced a smile, though her eyes betrayed a wounded heart. Arlen thought, why does my work steal my happiness? Why can't I choose a peaceful life with the woman I love? He watched the pickup waiting a few steps away in the parking lot. They paused on a bench. Elora leaned on his shoulder, then shivered as she recalled his upcoming mission. There will be violence, danger. You might not return. Arlen turned and held her tightly. Don't think negatively. I will think of you every moment. He kissed her hair. You're the only reason I want to come back. Elora quietly shed tears, laying her head on his chest. My heart seems to melt, but I cannot force you to stay. Go and take my love with you." They held each other, imagining the month stretching into years. The final glow of sunset dimmed, painting the world in shadows. On Sunday, before dawn, the Montclair mansion lay in tranquility. Arlen had packed his luggage neatly into a brown leather suitcase. He wore a field-style outfit, light tactical gear and leather boots, with a backpack containing his identification, undercover credentials, and essentials. Elora emerged from the second-floor hallway, eyes brimming with tears, holding a lightweight wool coat, a gift she embroidered 2 weeks ago with a lotus flower and the words "Forever Yours." Arlen lingered at the foot of the stairs, his gaze fixed on the coat. He leaned forward. "I don't want to falter as you come to see me off." Elora nodded, stepping forward to drape the coat over his shoulders. Touching his warm skin, her heart felt it might stop. Arlen lowered his head and pressed his lips to her shoulder. "Thank you." Elora closed her eyes, crying softly, "You must stay safe." I will wait." Arlen sighed, rubbing her shoulders. "I will always think of you. Take care of yourself, don't be alone too long." Elora stepped back, her hand still resting on his chest as if to transfer all her warmth through love. She whispered, "Please come back, Arlen Montclair." Arlen looked into her glistening eyes. "I will return, Elora Whitfield." The pickup arrived at the mansion gate, its headlights illuminating the white walls. The driver, an old M09 operative, stood waiting in the glow. Arlen walked to the truck door, pausing to look back at the mansion, where Elora stood leaning on the second-floor balcony. Her hair hung loose, the breeze lifting her silk gown. He raised his hand. "Don't cry." Elora tried to smile despite her tears. "I'll try." The truck backed up, its wheels crunching gravel, and then sped down the driveway. Faint sirens mingled with the pre-dawn darkness. Elora stood rooted, squinting into the cold morning air. She clutched the bouquet of deep red roses, her only remaining wedding gift, like a lifeline. Her heart ached, yet in its depths a flicker of hope emerged. "He will come back," he promised. Soon after, storm clouds gathered as the first raindrops of the season fell. Elora ducked through the small gate and hurried across the courtyard in the rain. Her umbrella was wet and flimsy, the surroundings unfamiliar save for the sound of raindrops on the royal poinciana leaves. She stopped in the garden and lifted her face, letting each cool drop wash over her cheeks. She closed her eyes as the rain's mournful symphony enveloped her. "Where are you, Arlen? Do you remember me?" The gusty wind pushed her amid the courtyard, her wet hair clung to her pale cheeks. She collapsed, clutching her face, crying bitterly, "I miss you." The rain fell heavily, coursing to the ground like her pent-up longing. Visions of Arlen flashed through her mind, his heavy gaze, his embrace, his vow, "I will return." She realized she must persist in her teaching dream and building the library so that if he came home, she would be a wife worthy of his love. Her phone rang. On the screen was Arlen's final message sent just before departing: "Love you. Live well." She reread it, finding a strange peace. The rain continued, but she smiled when she replied, "I'll wait." Thus, the first month passed with sweet memories entwined with moments of parting. Their love, fragile as it was, kindled hope and determination for the future. The Montclair mansion, draped in early seasonal rain, bore witness to an incomplete promise, yet also an undying vow. It had been over a week since Arlen Montclair left for the southwest border on an undercover assignment. The small second-floor apartment of the Montclair mansion, once Elora's private space, had fallen strangely silent. When the morning sun rose, its light filtered through the white voile curtains onto the sleek oak desk and the neatly arranged stack of books. Each time Elora glanced at a page of a third-grade textbook, her mind couldn't focus on the lesson. She woke at 6 a.m. as usual, but without the happy smile greeting each new day. Her heart clenched thinking of Arlen's teary eyes at their farewell dinner. She glanced at the wall clock, 6:15. Normally, Arlen would call and say, "Good morning, have you eaten?" But today, she simply lay next to the bed, staring blankly at the thin silk blanket he had folded neatly before leaving. She washed her face, thinking, "Where are you, and do you miss me?" Although her heart still kindled hope that Arlen would return, each passing day without word made her feel that hope shattering. She grabbed her phone and opened their chat app. No messages, no missed calls. The messages she sent 3 days ago remained unread. "Can you call me for a minute? I'm so worried." The app showed sent, but no double-check read appeared. Her hand tightened on the phone as her heart grew heavy. She wondered, is this mission tougher than he expected? Or is it so top secret that he can't contact me? She fell back onto the soft bed and turned her face into the pillow to inhale his vest's scent, clinging to the fabric. The faint musk and linen fragrance reminded her of Arlen. She closed her eyes and sighed, "I miss him." Far away, inside the tens of meters-long briefing room of the M09 unit, Arlen sat before a black wooden table under harsh fluorescent lights. A large U.S.-Mexico map marked in red the border was pinned to the board, surrounded by intelligence files. In front of him, Colonel Hugh Whitlock, the commanding officer who had withdrawn Arlen from San Gabriel, held up a photo of a Mexican drug lord, Silva, with red X's marking suspected trade points. Arlen, according to our intel, Silva's crew raided Site X last weekend. Armed criminals have run rampant, taking civilians hostage. We must cut this operation off at the root. We cannot allow further escalation. Whitlock's voice was grave, recounting a tragic case. Arlen inhaled deeply, scanning each fold on the map. "Silva's power is greater than we thought. Do you trust my composure enough to coordinate with the DEA and Border Patrol? They suspect an insider feeding Silva information." Whitlock nodded. "Our intel indicates a core operative has betrayed us. You will operate covertly, primarily responsible for gathering evidence. Rapid response teams will provide cover if needed, but all communications must go through secure channels. Understood?" Arlen replied tersely, "I understand." Although he had anticipated the danger level, facing the watchful eyes and recording devices, he displayed only a faint smile. "I will complete the mission." After the briefing, Arlen received a new ID card, encrypted communication codes, and a dedicated secure phone. He placed them carefully in his jacket pocket and left the command room. His face tense, he climbed into an SUV parked in the corridor and drove toward a hidden base at the foot of Huachuca Mountain, Arizona. The vehicle slowly traversed a stretch of red dirt road, flanked by spiny brush and kulla cacti. As he watched the vermilion sunset stain the mountain peaks, Arlen felt a slight tremor in his back. The southwest border's afternoon heat, nearly 40 degrees Celsius, scorched exposed skin, and his cracked lips stung. But loneliness was harsher. He could not call his wife or complain to his teammates about missing Elora. Deep inside, he recalled her warm, soft hand, so very different from his own, often stained with mud at Sierra Leone crime scenes. He wondered, does she understand what I'm doing? Does she know I might not come back? Sweat trickled down his brow, mixing with flung dirt on the window. He blasted the AC, but inside, his anxiety remained. Suddenly, his secure phone vibrated with a coded message, Delta 39, an emergency deployment order. He pulled over into a clump of scrub brush and retrieved the phone. The message read, "Urgent, Silva is in Sector Zeta 5, 12 kilometers northeast of your location. Do not reveal your identity. Proceed southwest to establish ambush. Report when you have sufficient evidence. Good luck, Whitlock." Arlen typed back, "Received. Moving now." His eyes flared with resolve. He started the engine and sped down the dirt road, heading toward Silva's trail. In a fleeting moment, his thoughts drifted to Elora. She's probably waiting for our dinner together now. Is she all right? But he quickly suppressed that emotion, focusing on his cold, disciplined gaze. no weakness. Any mistake could cost comrades lives. Complete the mission before thinking of her. It was 7 p.m. The final sunset cast a purple-red glow over Arizona's rugged landscape. Arlen reached Zeta 5, a small valley at the border where Silva's mobile camp operated. He clicked on his infrared scope and silently moved into the rocky pass, observing figures carrying black backpacks. 2 teammates in tactical gear awaited: Rodriguez, a weapons specialist, and Wynn, an electronic surveillance expert. Rodriguez's cold stare said it all: "We hear Silva's men have a heavy machine gun. Be extremely cautious." Arlen nodded. "We're only gathering evidence, no full assault. 1 shot and they'll scatter." Night fell, and a cool desert breeze blew. Arlen checked his sniper rifle and adjusted the infrared sight. His heart thudded. Each moment could be his last. He whispered, "Does she know where I am? Does she remember my calls every morning?" Suddenly, the secure phone buzzed, delivering images and an audio file. "This is an internal meeting of Silva's crew discussing drug shipments from Mexico into California. Obtain this file as evidence, ASAP." Before he could reply, Arlen heard animalistic growls echoing from the mountaintop. His heart pounded. Silva had detected their signal. Figures moved swiftly, blocking the area. Silva's infrared spotlights glowed like big cat's eyes in the dark. "Fall back," Arlen whispered over the radio. Rodriguez and Wynn retreated with the USB carrying the audio file, while Arlen stayed behind to seize more evidence. Suddenly, one of Silva's henchmen, rifle in hand, scanned the valley. Arlen instinctively retreated into a clump of scrub. "Be careful," he murmured. The henchman halted, AK rifle raised, aiming in Arlen's direction. In that instant, a burn of heat coursed through Arlen's body as Trent's memory flickered. "Does she miss me? I have no right to err." The AK barked, its echo ripping through the secluded valley. Arlen collapsed between the rocks, blood spilling out as his vision blurred. A shard of moonlight flickered off a pebble. His rifle clattered to the ground. Before unconsciousness claimed him, he heard Rodriguez's frantic voice over the radio: "Arlen. You're hit. Hold on." Then darkness swallowed him. While Arlen lay fighting for his life across the border, in San Gabriel, Alora's anxiety overcame her. On the 3rd day after he departed, her nerves frayed. Every passing car, every creaking door in the mansion's foyer startled her. She opened her laptop and searched for news on Silva and M09, but found only scattered reports about law enforcement efforts chasing border gangs, nothing connecting to Arlen Montclair. That afternoon, Alora received an email from Arlen's adoptive father, Gregory Montclair, stating, "A special operative is on a sudden mission. All lines of communication are locked. Please do not worry." The message unsettled her. Why must communications be blocked? Is he under more pressure than he said? She wrestled with thoughts. If he's on assignment, why can't he send even a single word? Why am I the only one here with this fear? She sighed, donned a coat, and strolled through the rose garden. The roses were in bloom, their crimson petals perfuming the air. Each rose seemed to remind her, "You were once happy with him, where is he now?" Leaving the garden, she went to her desk, picked up a pen, and wrote, "Dearest Arlen, I know you're fulfilling an important mission. I trust you will come back safely. But my heart worries every second. Could you send me a message, even if it's just 'I'm fine'? That would calm me. I miss you dearly. Always loving you. Alora." She folded the note and thought, he won't see this, but at least I've emptied my heart. She placed it in a drawer, took a deep breath, and tried to dispel her anxieties. But all her efforts collapsed before a dreadful day. Exactly 18 days after Arlen's departure, she received a call from someone claiming to represent the family. On the other end was an unsteady voice. "Ms. Whitfield? I'm Mildred Montclair, Arlen's grandmother. I regret to tell you." Mrs. Montclair's words thundered through her mind. In the Zeta 5 operation, Arlen was ambushed. His body was found with mortal wounds that could not be treated. We extend our deepest condolences. Your mother is en route to San Gabriel. Elora felt as if struck by lightning. Her heart momentarily stopped. She bit her lip, soundless. Everything around her spun. The chandelier's glamour whipped her vision. An ambulance siren wailed outside. She collapsed onto the sofa, gripping her head as her sobs echoed without form. A piercing scream shattered the space as she bolted to the balcony. The evening wind rushed her hair, her loose dress was soaked. She called out his name into the vast void, Arlen. Where are you? You cannot be dead. Come back to me. Neighbors rushed over to support her, her body powerless to stand. She lay on the tiled floor, tears cascading in a depthless torrent. 3 years of waiting, and now this? Her phone buzzed again with a message from an unknown number. Lieutenant Arlen Montclair died at 8:45 p.m. last night. Please prepare the necessary arrangements. His belongings and remains will be returned to base for burial. The Montclair family will take care of everything. Elora stared blankly at the screen, her eyes empty. She grabbed the white blanket from the chair and wrapped it around herself as if to hold onto the shattered pieces of her soul. The wind howled past the screen door. It's all over. That night, the Montclair mansion seemed to speak a different language. The warm yellow lights were shrouded in a somber haze. The window where they had once smiled and pledged their vows now stood closed, its curtains drawn. On a table draped in white, the silk scarf Elora had touched now felt meaningless. A funeral procession silently entered the gate. The Montclair honor guard donned black bands and bowed. Inside, Mrs. Mildred embraced Elora, her hands trembling. Sweetheart, please listen. Arlen. Your son died heroically protecting his team. She choked on her words. Elora heard them but felt as though a heavy shroud suffocated her. She did not know whose shoulder she was leaning on, only that her eyes were soaked, her loneliness deeper than ever. She whispered, I can't keep my promise. I awaited him, but now. Exhausted from her tears, she collapsed into her grandmother's arms. The next day, as Arlen's coffin was lowered into the ground at the Montclair family cemetery, white lilies, red roses, and wreaths swayed in the breeze. Elora stood by his grave, wearing a soaked gray coat. Her frozen lips quivered, her grief immeasurable. She could not cry, only her heart recoiled in agony. Mrs. Mildred gently placed her hand on Elora's shoulder. Come, let us bid farewell to Arlen. Trust me, you will find another light. Elora croaked, Grandma. How can I find light when the light has gone with Arlen? Mrs. Mildred was silent, gazing at her with understanding eyes. Live in a way that honors the dreams both of you shared. But Elora simply stood there, her heart hollow as a bottomless pit. She heard the wind whisper through the tombstones, imagining Arlen's peaceful rest, unable to witness her pain. 10 days after the funeral, she still could not accept the truth. Daily, she went to class and taught diligently, yet felt her heart scorched by grief. Whenever she taught, her mind drifted to Arlen's face, his gentle eyes and carefree smile, now only memories. She wondered, is he truly gone? Couldn't someone have saved him after he was shot? One day in class, she seemed exhausted. After explaining the poem The Little Egret to her students, she laid her head on the desk, tears streaming. The students looked on in concern. Miss, are you unwell? Elora forced a small smile, squeezing each of their hands. I'm fine, just a little tired. But inside, she felt broken. Their well wishes to stay strong echoed in her mind, but she could not hold herself together. In the afternoon, she returned to her apartment and decided to sort through all of Arlen's belongings. She picked up each tie, each white dress shirt, placing them on her pillow to breathe in his scent. He still lingers, she murmured through her blurred vision. This is the last fragrance from before he left. Lifting the suitcase of wedding mementos, the photo album they took together, she felt an emptiness expand. She did not have the courage to touch the wedding ring. She placed it in a small box and locked it in a drawer. She whispered his name. "I'm sorry. I cannot keep my promise to wait. Please come back, even if only as a memorial stone." But who could answer? Only the mournful wind slipping through the door cracks. As cold days passed, sparse drizzle ushered in early winter in San Gabriel. Christmas approached, the first snowflakes dancing outside the window. The city was chilled, festive lights blinking red and green. Elora sat by the window, a snowflake landing on the sill. She touched the fragile flake, wondering, "Do you know how lonely my Christmas will be?" On the table stood a small plate of sweet and sour cookies she had baked, and the framed wedding photo of the two of them amidst withering pines. She took out her old phone, one that still valiantly held a charge after 3 battery replacements, and texted, "Arlen, I'm here. This apartment is drowning in longing." But the message remained undelivered. Her heart felt trapped by her tears. "I once dreamed of a fireplace-filled home, decorating a Christmas tree, wrapping in each other's arms. Now." She turned on the TV to watch a local Christmas program, but her eyes stayed glued to the screen, couples happily gathered by a fireplace, children's laughter echoing joy. She collapsed into her chair, tears smudging the screen's images of people she no longer belonged among. Finally, she placed the phone in her coat pocket and stepped outside into the falling snow. She walked slowly, letting each flake melt in her hand, as if each drop of water signified a broken hope. She sank onto a park bench, the wind cutting to the bone, yet her pain felt colder still. "If you're alive, you could still call me, even just once," she whispered, wrapping her scarf tighter, eyes fixed on the cold night sky. Time passed measured by Elora's tears. From that Christmas through spring, spring to summer, summer to autumn, 3 seasons came and went without word. She continued teaching, caring for her students as though nothing had happened. Yet deep inside, her wounds would not heal. Each time she saw the clock strike 6 p.m., the hour Arlen usually called to remind her not to stay up late, she reeled on the mansion's foyer. Her eyes glued to the phone screen, her heart pounding, even though she knew there would be no reply. Friends asked, "Elora, why not close up the mansion and return to your parents' home in Riverside for comfort?" She shook her head. "I'm used to it now. This mansion holds all our memories." The Montclair family tried to console her. "Arlen died a hero. Keep teaching and organize that library as you both dreamed." But she knew that dream was now as fragile as a soap bubble. When news about Silva's gang dwindled, Elora still could not find any clue about Arlen. She wondered, did he really die? Or did he fake his death to work behind the scenes? Thinking that, she bit her lip in agony, unable to deny the image of Arlen collapsing in the rocky ravine. 3 long years, month after month, season after season, passed. The small Montclair apartment became a prison for her longing. The piano in the corner stood untouched, Arlen's dusty code card lay forgotten in a drawer. She could not bring herself to tear up a single photograph. Each image, each memento contained fragments of his spirit. On the final day of the 3rd year, Elora stepped onto the balcony overlooking the overgrown garden. The trees had withered, the wind rattling through bare branches. She whispered, 3 years. I've waited long enough. With tears soaking her eyelashes, she murmured, if you're truly alive, come back. I am waiting. Exactly 3 years after Arlen's departure, on an early spring morning, as Elora taught in her classroom, the doorbell rang. Startled, she thought, who could it be at this hour? She went downstairs, opened the door, and saw a group of medical personnel in white coats surrounding a wounded man being placed on a stretcher. That man's face was pale and his hair disheveled. Only one name came to her mind, Arlen. In that moment, Elora's world froze. Her heart pounded furiously, and her legs went stiff. The stretcher was set down in the foyer. The doctor removed a jacket to reveal a red bandage hastily wrapped around his arm. His eyes, closed tight, twitched with each breath. She wanted to throw herself into his arms but feared it was a mirage. "If it's really you, please open your eyes," she whispered, voice choked. Those around shifted uneasily, their gazes ensnared by the moment. Finally, the stretcher's flap parted, and his hazel eyes fluttered open. "Arlen," she uttered in disbelief. He stirred, breathing ragged. "Elora?" She rushed forward, enveloping him in an embrace. "You are not dead. Didn't you say you would return?" He forced himself upright, voice weak. I made it back. I'm home." Tears of joy and fear that had built up over 3 years shattered the gloom and ushered in a new journey, the journey of Arlen's recovery from the hospital back to ordinary life and of Elora's quest to reconcile happiness with her unhealed scars. A spring morning at St. Raphael's Hospital, perched on the banks of the San Gabriel River, warm air mingled with the scent of antiseptic. Long benches lined the gleaming hallway, stretching all the way to the waiting area. Teal-colored directional signs hung on the white walls. Soft sunlight filtered through the large windows, painting pale streaks across the white-tiled floor. The gentle tap of footsteps on the tile carried through the hushed corridors. Elora Whitfield entered the hallway, her posture slightly stooped, back curved. Ahead of her, the heavy metal door of ICU room 12A remained closed. Her heart tightened with each beat as she recalled the nurse's words. "Mr. Montclair has passed the critical phase, but he's still unconscious. The doctor will let you know when he wakes up." Silently, she moved to a chair outside the door, set her handbag on the floor, and fixed her gaze on the room beyond. It was the first time in 3 years that Elora had returned to the place where Arlen was being treated. 3 years of disappearance, 3 years of agonizing waiting, had led to this scene, her husband lying on his side in isolation, his hand wrapped in crimson bandages, the bones of his right lower leg visible beneath a makeshift cast. Deep inside, she exhaled, "Can he see me? Can he recognize me?" She clasped her hands tightly, fingers trembling around her scarf. Under the harsh white LED lights, her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Her heart pounded as she thought of the fresh scar along his temple where the bullet had struck. I haven't yet had a chance to smile at him again, to tell him I forgive him for those 3 years of silence. Inside the isolation room, Arlen Montclair awoke at precisely 10 a.m. He slowly opened his deep blue eyes, throat parched, feeling as if sandpaper dragged down his esophagus. White light streamed through a glass panel in the door, reflecting off moisture on his lashes. He inhaled, mind still hazy from 3 years of mental drift. His gaze searched for a familiar presence in the empty space. His dry lips parted in a whisper, "Elora?" A nurse at the bedside switched on the heart monitor. She checked his pulse and smiled reassuringly. "He's awake. Be calm." Our timely intervention stabilized his heart and lungs. But his injuries remained severe, he must rest completely. Arlen listened, but in his mind, only the image of his wife remained, a fragile, gentle figure framed by their mansion. He gripped the sheet and remembered the morning before leaving, when Elora had held him as if trying to prevent him from departing. You're still angry with me," he thought. "But perhaps she's come to see me, to confirm that I'm truly alive." About an hour later, the door to room 12A opened slightly. A gaunt figure, pale-faced but eyes taut with tension, stepped inside. It was Elora, wearing a charcoal gray coat, hair pinned low, her eyes fixed on him. The distance between them was only a few steps, but the silence felt thick as if it had been building for days. Arlen lay there, his gaze both foggy and urgently longing. He managed. You came." His voice was weak, each word trembled like a broken melody. Elora took the seat beside him, her eyes dry and guarded. How are you?" she asked. The question landed cold in his chest like a stone. For a moment, he felt the chasm between them. I'm fine. He paused, tilting his head away to avoid her direct gaze for fear that tears might spill. She only gave a slight nod, offering no comfort. I have a teaching meeting today, she said flatly. Speak to the doctor if you need anything. Her expression carried a hint of frustration. You disappeared for 3 years, and now you return gravely injured. If it was just work, you didn't have to risk your life like that. Arlen inhaled, pressing back against his pillow. I had no choice, he whispered, as if to justify the brutal undercover assignment. Elora turned her face away, eyes blazing with resentment. You had a choice. You could have stayed. You promised you would always be by my side. You owed me a peaceful marriage. She lowered her voice, revealing the vulnerability behind her anger. You could have remained with me 3 years ago, but you chose your job. I don't understand you anymore. He exhaled slowly. I was wrong. I know you're angry. But I have no one left but you to come home to. He looked toward the frosted window where a sign reading "No visitors allowed" hung in the hallway. Elora sprang to her feet. The world outside has been inside this room long enough. I can't be with you out of obligation. She lifted her chin, voice firm. I came only to verify you're alive, to know I wasn't mistaken. Now that I know, you're not worth my concern anymore. With that, she turned and walked out as if leaving behind the remnants of a shattered soul. He heard her wooden heels echo down the corridor until the heavy metal door shut behind her with a cold click. In the room, only the steady beep of the heart monitor and the rustle of his blanket filled the silence, and a single tear traced a line down Arlen's cheek. After Elora's departure, Arlen sat in a daze, staring at his crimson-wrapped hand. Fresh scars ran along his forearm and bicep, exuding the scent of antiseptic and gauze. His 5 fingers trembled against the edge of the hospital sheet. On the bedside table, their wedding photo remained, gathering dust, Elora's radiant smile as she draped a lotus-embroidered scarf around his shoulders, both of them promising a month of reunion. That memory flickered back like a rewinded film. I promise I won't go far again, you're everything to me. Elora's sweet voice amid candlelight in their kitchen. I'll only be gone briefly, so you won't worry. Arlen's fragile reassurance under the rose garden arbor. But then, the memory cut to black, replaced by the thunder of gunfire echoing through a mountain pass and the warmth of blood seeping back to life. He lay there, agony coursing through his wounds and heart. Do you even know what I went through? Do you know the nights I thought I'd die, longing to hear you call my name so I would come back? His mind throbbed with sorrow. Late afternoon sunlight streamed across the white sheet, casting a golden line, symbolic of the contrast between life's warmth and the chill of their broken bond. He thought, what must I do to earn her forgiveness? She deserves happiness. 3 days had passed since Elora left the hospital corridor, and she had not returned to room 12A. Instead, she spent her time calling the principal of Riverside Elementary to arrange makeup classes and managing the book funding project that had been put on hold. Occasionally, she would receive messages from colleagues, "Where's Elora?" "Everyone's worried." She replied simply, "I'm busy." She needed time to steady herself. He hurt me for 3 years, now he wants me to forgive him? I'm not a fool. She thought, if he reached out, I might lash out in anger. But I don't want to hurt him further. So she remained silent. On a drizzly weekend evening, Elora returned to the lonely Montclair apartment, its dim yellow light flickering. She approached the piano in the corner, its keys dusty. Picking up a pencil, she wrote on the notebook sheet tangled in front of her, "Why did you go? Why didn't you call? Why did you force me to wait?" Across the city, Arlen drifted through fitful naps in the hospital bed. He clutched his phone, void of messages or missed calls. He tried to send Elora a text, "I'm sorry." But his hand trembled, Each time he typed those 3 words, the pain within him deepened. At last, he deleted the full text, leaving only 2 words, "So sorry." Yet he lacked the courage even to press send. About 2 weeks later, the doctors allowed Arlen to leave the ICU and move to a general ward. He was assigned a bed near a wide window overlooking the hospital's small garden, where clusters of hydrangeas swayed in the breeze. Each day, a nurse came to change his dressing, take his blood pressure, and tend to his wound. Whenever the bandages were removed, he winced at the sight of the fresh scar still faintly tinged with antiseptic. One Monday afternoon, Dr. Neal, the surgeon who had operated on him, entered the room. With salt and pepper hair, round glasses, and a kindly face, Dr. Neal examined his wound and nodded approvingly. "You're improving. You can start with some thin porridge and light physical therapy exercises. Your right arm's muscles are still weak, I'll prescribe some supplements." Arlen nodded, a momentary gray cloud passing across his face. "Thank you, doctor." Inside, he resolved, "I must get well quickly. She's waiting for me, but she has every right to be angry." That afternoon, he sat by the window, watching the hydrangeas sway. Slender rays of sunlight streamed through the leaves, scattering sparkling patterns. He thought, over 3 years, she has withered like these flowers. She might have given up, but I still want to be the reason she blossoms again. The next day, when Elora arrived at the hospital, a nurse told her, "Ms. Whitfield, Dr. Neal would like to see you in room 210B. She hesitated in the bright hallway, heart racing, but replied, "I'm just here to pick up his insurance documents." She hurried past, not meeting the surprised gaze of Dr. Neal. In the physical therapy room, Arlen performed gentle flexion and extension exercises to stimulate blood circulation. As he moved, his body heat increased, but he still felt tension deep within. When he raised his right arm, it shook, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. Jade, the physical therapist, quietly reminded him, "Don't push too hard. We'll go slowly." He nodded, forcing a strained smile. "I just want to go home soon." One gray, rainy afternoon, Elora decided to return to visit him. This time, she stood outside room 210B and peered through the frosted glass. He was seated on a therapy bench, leaning on crutches, frame visibly thinner than she remembered. He raised his right arm in a slow flex, each movement caused him to wince. His hollowed face, unshaven stubble, and tousled hair spoke of the ordeal he had endured. For a fleeting moment, a glimmer of hope shone in his eyes as he spotted her, but she remained frozen, making no move. He forced a weak smile. "You came back?" His voice was tired, but there was an undercurrent of joy disguised behind the pain. Elora hesitated, eyes on his silhouette, but her lips did not curve. Finally she replied, "I'm here to collect the latest test results, then I'll go." She paused, asking, "Have you eaten anything?" Arlen stopped his exercise and straightened up. "I had lunch at 1 o'clock. Then he looked at her, "How are you?" Elora lowered her head and tilted it away. "I'm fine." Her voice retained its chilly edge. You don't need to worry about me." He dropped his hand, fingers trembling as they fell to his side. "But I still want to take care of you." He struggled to speak. "You are the only person I think about." She blinked but made no response. After a long pause, she said, "You were gone for 3 years. I can't hide that I suffered terribly." Her eyes glinted with pain. "You can't expect me to erase everything as if it never happened." Then she turned and hurried out of the room, leaving him shattered behind the frosted glass. That night, in the hushed darkness of California, Arlen lay in his simple hospital room under the lone glow of a small lamp. He stared at the ceiling, where the hospital's emblem was affixed, listening to the faint hum of the heart monitor and the creak of the ceiling fan. Each beep and whir deepened his sense of emptiness. In his mind, Elora's image emerged, her frail shoulders draped in a raincoat, rain-dappled hair clinging to her face. He pictured her blurred under the chilly spring rain, torn between anger and longing. In a whisper, he called her name, "Elora, are you safe? Do you still think of me?" In the stillness of the night, silent tears slid down his face. Suddenly, he remembered their early days together, a sweet month of shopping trips, movie nights, cooking chicken soup together. All those moments whispered from the past, "Have you forgiven me?" The small lamp flickered once and went dark, plunging the room into shadow. He heard the wind sluicing through the window crack, as if it answered him, "I'm waiting to see which path you'll take next, will you choose to stay?" He drifted into a fitful sleep, seeing Elora's tear-streaked face under the rain. 9 days after Elora had left the treatment room, she received a call from Dr. Neal. "Ms. Whitfield, I have Mr. Montclair's latest psychological evaluation. He survived the critical phase, but he's suffering from severe post-traumatic stress. I believe you should visit. We have marital counseling materials to support you both." She faltered for a moment, but ultimately agreed. "I will come this afternoon." She closed her phone, wondering, why go? To see him ashamed? To hear an apology I don't want to hear? That afternoon, a drizzle fell, light rain that soon cleared. Elora entered the hospital in a wool coat, rain-slick boots leaving water trails behind. She looked through a window to find pale sunlight breaking through, illuminating the damp courtyard. The brightness stung like a fresh wound, yet brought a gentle warmth. She proceeded to the psychology department where Dr. Clara waited, a friendly woman, her face hinting at weariness from long hours of work. Dr. Clara handed Elora a small booklet. "This is part of our marital support program. Please read and reflect. I believe it will help you understand the patient's psychological recovery process better." Elora took the booklet and flipped through pages on post-traumatic stress, emotional healing. She thought, indeed, he's endured the consequences of 3 years gone and physical wounds. Leaving Dr. Clara's office, she decided to pass by the patient hall to reach room 210B. This time, her gaze was softened, though still tinged with caution. Inside, Arlen was sitting cross-legged on his bed in a meditative posture, crutches set aside, his right hand resting on his knee. He stared out the slightly open window at the hydrangeas poised to bloom. When the door opened, he turned sharply, eyes brightening with hope. Elora entered quietly and closed the door behind her. The waning afternoon light slanted through the opening, casting their shadows on the tiled floor. Arlen cleared his throat. "You came back?" She stopped, placed her bag on a chair by the window. "I read the materials Dr. Clara gave me." Her voice was gentler. "I understand you're not recovering easily." He nodded slowly. "Thank you." Elora hesitated, then approached. "Are you in pain?" she asked, a real concern lacing her tone. Arlen inhaled deeply, a flicker of emotion in his eyes. "I'm in a lot of pain, body and soul." She sat on the bench beside him, gaze focused. 3 years ago, you could have died at any moment. I thought I'd lost you." He bowed his head, voice breaking. "I missed you. I felt utterly alone." A tense minute passed as the sound of the tea trolley rattling down the corridor drifted in, along with the faint scent of herbal tea. Elora looked at his once blue eyes, now clouded and weary, and sighed, "I thought I'd be furious, but I only feel pain. I don't know what to do." Arlen raised his hand, trembling as he lightly touched hers. "I was wrong. I only want to start over." She stepped back, pain flickering in her eyes. "Do you think we can start over? As if clicking a button to erase the past. It's not that easy." With that, she turned and left in haste, leaving him devastated before the frosted glass. At night, the hallway lights dimmed, leaving only a faint glow from room 210B. Arlen lay there, eyes fixed on the ceiling, recalling their first days. One sweet month of strolling through grocery aisles together, him pushing the cart, her selecting the ripest tomatoes. Movie nights in the home theater, him draping his arm around her as they watched Roman holiday. Cooking bird's nest soup at dawn in the garden, lotus pond serenades at sunrise. All of it whispered from the past, "Will you forgive me?" As the night deepened, the wind rattled the window panes, and Arlen felt a sense of fragility. I must learn to stay awake, to learn to forget, to live peacefully with her. Early morning in the hospital's physical therapy wing at St. Raphael's, sunlight streamed through the large glass panes, casting luminescent patterns across the polished wooden floor. The therapy room was warm, with controlled humidity and temperature to aid patient recovery. Murals of Tuscan hills tinted pink and emerald green fields decorated the walls, dispelling the hospital chill. Arlen Montclair was escorted into the therapy room, his frame noticeably thinner than 3 months prior. He wore a light gray medical exercise uniform, his right knee encased in metal braces, athletic shoes with shock-absorbing soles. His right arm, still lightly bandaged, bore a crimson scar from the surgery. Sitting on a motorized adjustable chair, Arlen surveyed the room, hand grips, leg-strengthening machines, and massage vibrators. He sighed, his heart heavy. 3 years away, 2 months in the hospital, and now I must battle to stand upright again. I can hardly believe I'll ever move normally. Jade, the physical therapist, arrived, wearing a white lab coat embroidered with St. Raphael's. Her dark hair was neatly tied in a high ponytail. With a warm face and a spring-like smile, she greeted him softly. "Hello, Mr. Montclair. I'm Jade. Today, we'll begin your session. Don't worry, the exercises will start gently so your body can adapt." Arlen nodded and managed a thin smile. "Thank you. I'm actually worried, since I've barely moved in months." Jade offered reassurance. "Don't stress. We'll start with light motions and gradually increase intensity. What matters most is your mindset. You can do this." He drew a slow breath, meeting her gaze. "I want to do this. I want to return to my wife, to prove I deserve her love." Jade knit her brows upon hearing wife. "Has she visited you?" Arlen hesitated. She comes sometimes. I still owe her an apology." Jade nodded, eyes encouraging. "Let's use rehab as our bridge to reconciliation. I'll guide you every step." Jade adjusted his chair into a semi-reclined position and instructed him to sit with his back straight. They both moved to a table-mounted hand exerciser. Arlen placed his right arm on a soft cushion, letting it rest. Jade handed him a small glass of water. "Now rotate your wrist gently, curl forward, curl backward. I'll count out the pace." His expression dimmed as he executed each move, flexing downward, feeling the surgical site tug, extending upward, sensing numbness in his pinky. He murmured, 1, 2, 3, following Jade's count. Jade observed and nodded. "Good, slow and steady. Don't overexert. If you feel pain, stop." Arlen furrowed his brow, focusing on coaxing his nerves back to life. "I remember the last day I curled my wrist to open the living room door, how it felt holding my morning coffee. Now, every curl feels like it's unraveling me." Jade gently patted his shoulder. "Don't let the past trap you. Stay present." He nodded. "I'll try." After 2 sets of 10 reps, Jade moved him on to wrist rotations. Rotate your palm to the left, then to the right. These simple moves are crucial for everyday grip function. Arlen's gaze clouded as he navigated each movement. "I never imagined having to relearn such a basic task." Jade patted his hand. "Often, the simplest tasks are the toughest challenges. You'll overcome this." They concluded with a forearm resistance machine set to light tension. He grasped the plastic handle, pressed down, then released, 10 reps at each resistance level, breathing steadily. Sweat beaded at his temples, a determined look slowly replaced his uncertainty. I'll do every level, he declared, voice firmer. I won't give up. Jade smiled. That's the spirit. See? You're more confident already. Meanwhile, at Riverside Elementary's parent lounge, Elora flipped through her email anxiously. Dear Ms. Whitfield, due to personal reasons, we will assign a substitute teacher for your classes for the next 3 weeks. Best wishes for your husband's speedy recovery. She knitted her brows, fingers trembling. They didn't even ask me. She glanced around at the crowded room. Colleagues' sympathetic glances made her spine twitch with resentment. Some teachers offered condolences. Elora, we heard your husband returned but is still in treatment. It must be very hard for you. She swallowed a sigh. I'm okay. Though their gestures seemed kind, her heart thundered with indignation. He's being tended in luxury, yet I'm struggling to teach with no one to ask after me. Does he know the nights I cried, fearful he'd never return? She gripped the lapel of her coat. He has responsibilities, but I've carried far more than he ever did. As if he never did anything wrong. Storm clouds gathered overhead as she left the school grounds, a light spring rain misting around her. Pink cherry blossoms drifted to the pavement like petals of reproach. He's forgotten me. Staring at her reflection in a puddle, hair pinned back, face pale, eyes shadowed, she admonished herself, I must be stronger. Even though he's home, I won't let him off so easily. She drew her raincoat tighter and walked on. Back in the therapy room, Arlen subdued his pain as he pushed his right leg against a light resistance pedal. Jade stood by his side. Early in rehab sessions, small motions still felt awkward, but he fought to keep his spine straight. Glancing at his reflection in the mirror, he saw a gaunt figure, hollows under his eyes, but still filled with determination. Silent conviction burned in his mind, if I give up, she'll never believe in me again. He pressed his calf down slowly, feeling a jolt of pain in his lower leg. A bead of sweat slipped down his brow, but so did an unspoken yearning, I must be strong. I must walk properly. I must earn her trust. When the session ended, he collapsed into a chair, breathing heavily, face still solemn. Jade handed him a cup of water. You did well today. Every bit of effort counts. He clutched the cup, lips quivering as he swallowed, thank you. In his heart, he pictured a future spring day when he and Elora would stroll together in the budding rain, no braces on his legs, no awkwardness, just two souls reunited. Someday soon, he vowed, I'll walk beside her without needing a nurse's arm. Later that afternoon, once home, Elora stepped into her Montclair apartment and dropped her bag onto the sofa. Her gaze swept across the empty chair where he used to sit with his tea, the small table holding the cold cup he never finished. She sat on the floor, back against the couch, thinking, how did he do today? Is he any worse? Staring at the ceiling, storm of hope and rage tangled within her. In her mind, he's living under attentive care, yet I'm left scrambling to teach with no one asking how I'm doing. Does he know the nights I wept in fear? She gripped the arm of the couch. He pushed me to endure, all by myself, yet acts as if he did nothing wrong. Her eyes then caught sight of their wedding album on the nearby shelf. She brushed away a thin layer of dust with her fingertips and opened it to a page, their wedding photo beneath a canopy of scarlet blossoms. In that image, Elora wore a pristine white gown, her smile radiant. Arlen stood close behind, his own smile tentative, yet his eyes shone with love. That picture felt like a shard of a fairy tale too distant to touch. She sat motionless, lips pressed tight. If he apologizes, could I open my heart? She pondered before deciding, I'll give him time. After all, he deserves at least one more chance. With trembling hands, she laid the album back down and moved to the small kitchen table. She brewed a steaming cup of ginger tea, inhaling its spicy warmth. Outside, rain pattered on the maple leaves, a gentle hush offering solace. He and I embark on a new journey together. The following morning, Semen, The nurse assigned to Arlen wheeled him out of the treatment room into a wheelchair. The hospital doors opened to reveal the pale dawn over St. Raphael's. He inhaled the crisp, fresh air as the wheels clicked on the pavement. Seamin smiled. Today we'll transition to leg exercises in the hospital's garden. Dr. Neil cleared you for the walking assist machine. Are you ready? Arlen nodded firmly. I'm ready. She wheeled him toward the petite garden. Concrete corridors gave way to a lush, green courtyard where hydrangeas were shifting from blue to lavender. A sparrow chirped as it fluttered by, a bee buzzed among the blooms. He swallowed, feeling both strength and frailty. I'm healing, but I still feel weak. Seamin guided him to a shaded spot under a small gazebo, where the walking assist machine stood. The apparatus featured 2 handrails and a movable footplate set to gentle resistance. She instructed, place your right foot on the pedal, shift your weight onto your heel to reduce knee stress. Following orders, he positioned his left heel over his right, then pressed down. The machine whirred, nudging him forward, each step both challenging and hopeful. From the garden's entrance, Alora observed him. She didn't speak, but her gaze burned with concern. Is he in pain? Can he endure this? Murmuring, he replied, it hurts a bit. But it's manageable. He continued stepping, gripping the rails until his fingers whitened from the effort. Jade, hovering nearby, gave a supportive nod. That's it, slow and steady. 2 minutes, then rest. He persisted, sweat curling at his temples, as the petals of the hydrangeas swayed in the gentle breeze. When the machine finally stopped, his breath was ragged. Seamin offered water. Here, take a sip. Arlen exhaled slowly. Thanks. Elora stepped closer, placed her hand on his back. You're doing great, she said softly. I'm very proud of you. He looked up at her, eyes shining. I can do this because of you. She nodded, though worry still flickered in her eyes. Don't push too hard. He offered a tired smile. I will stop when I'm exhausted. I want you to feel safe. With newfound resolve, he thought, every painful step is worth it because each footfall brings me closer to her. Seamin, wheeling him back inside, guided him toward his room. Caught between past regrets and future hopes, he whispered to himself, every painful effort is justified, because they pave the way back to her. That same afternoon, Jade messaged Arlen to come to room 300 for spinal mobilization exercises. He walked the illuminated hallway, mind heavy with anticipation. Upon arrival, Jade greeted him warmly. Today we'll remove your back brace so you can start gentle spinal stretches. This will help you regain upright posture. Seated on a therapy cot, he braced himself as Jade carefully cut away the supportive brace from his back. The moment revealed the skin beneath, where a faint scar was just beginning to heal. A shiver passed through him as he flexed backward slightly. Thank you, he murmured to her. I don't know quite what to feel. Jade patted his shoulder. You'll feel relief once your spine loosens. But don't sit for too long, you must maintain good posture. I'll guide you through gentle back bends. He stepped down, bent his right leg, and leaned his spine carefully backward, inhaling, then exhaling slowly. A sharp jolt of pain shot down his back, causing him to gasp. Jade rubbed his shoulder reassuringly. That's okay. Keep breathing. He clenched the edge of the cot, eyes squeezed shut. I thought I couldn't bear any more pain. Jade's voice was gentle. This kind of discomfort can help you recover fully. Be patient. He nodded, forcing his spine straight. Each vertebra felt like it was springing under the pressure. A cold wave coursed along his back, but also a sense of liberation after months of immobility. In his heart, he resolved, I've been living half asleep for far too long. Now, I want to truly live. Night descended over the hospital wings, only the faint glow of corridor lights visible. Arlen returned to room 210B and peered through the small window. Elora sat in a plush armchair by the glass, bathed in a soft yellow lamp glow. She held a psychology text in her lap, brow furrowed in thought. Overcome by emotion, he entered the room quietly. Elora startled, lifting the book to shield her chest. You're back already?" she asked, a calm steadiness fighting through tears. Arlen nodded and moved to sit opposite her. "I worked on my back and legs today. It hurt, but I'm okay." He offered a faint, grateful smile. "Thank you for giving me time." She was silent for a moment, tears glistening. "I read the materials Dr. Clara provided. They say you're experiencing severe post-traumatic panic. You need support, both physical and mental." He nodded. "Yes. Before, when I was undercover, I watched comrades fall under gunfire. I learned to suppress everything, but the body can't handle suppression forever. Now, the wounds and the trauma both demand attention." Elora closed her eyes, voice softening. I'm sorry for those harsh words earlier." She gently removed her veil, meeting his gaze. "I was worried about you, but I was hurting." He winced with pain, eyes brimming. "I know. I deserve your anger." He bowed his head, tears cutting grooves in his cheeks. "But I still need you. I can't manage this alone." She looked at him, tears glimmering. "So, what do you want from me?" He inhaled slowly. "I only ask for time. I won't force you to forgive me at once. But each day, I hope you can forgive me a little bit. That alone would mean everything." Her gaze softened, tears welling. "If I give you time, can you heal the wounds in my heart?" He reached for her hand, voice earnest. "I'll do anything." She studied his crimson-wrapped hand. "Please, start by telling me the truth. Share everything about those 3 years." He nodded with quiet determination. "Since I left, I was assigned a covert mission at Border Sector Zeta 5, where Silva's cartel ran a transnational drug operation. I shadowed them, gathered intel, but when I discovered a mole within our own ranks, things spiraled. I was ambushed. My superiors suspected me of possessing sensitive information. I had no choice but to fake my death to continue the operation in secrecy." Elora listened, pain flickering in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me? I was your anchor." He fought back tears. "I couldn't, because of the communication blackout. Now that I'm back and alive, the first thing I want to do is tell you the truth." She placed her hand over his heart. "All you went through, I still don't fully understand. But now I know this, I need you." He squeezed her hand. "Thank you." They sat in silence, hearing raindrops pattering outside, the steady beep of the monitor, the gentle hum of the heater. Under the window, hydrangeas gently swayed in the breeze. Elora leaned into the chair, sorrowful eyes tracing the bright red bandages on his arm. She thought, "You faced criminals and my fury. You endured so much." And at that moment, she believed one thing: I must try to mend. My heart may still ache, but at least I'll confront it. Arlen bowed his head, contemplative. "Tomorrow I'll start therapy again with Jade. I want you there to see." His voice held sincerity. "I need you." Elora offered a small nod, a glint of hope in her gaze. "You won't be alone. I'll be here." Night fell over the hospital, hallway lights dimmed, leaving only a muted glow near room 210B. 2 figures faced each other in silence, beginning their journey of mending wounds with quiet steps, gentle words, and a shared hope for healing. Just before dawn, when the first gilded rays of the San Gabriel sun peeked into the sky, Arlen Montclair was prepared for discharge. St. Raphael's corridors buzzed with the shift change of doctors and nurses. He sat in a wheelchair in the hallway, his frame gaunt, his white patient gown hanging loosely. 2 metal braces encased his right lower leg, his legs trembled slightly beneath the gown. Beside him, Nurse Se-min and physical therapist Jade exchanged approving glances. "Are you ready, Mr. Montclair?" Jade asked with an encouraging smile. "You can step out into the sunshine now." Arlen fixed his gaze on the white-clad medical staff lining the corridor and inhaled deeply, the crisp air mixed with the faint scent of cedar from the window drapes. He wiped a bead of cold sweat from his brow and nodded. "I'm ready." Se-min assisted him into the wheelchair and wheeled him toward the main entrance. The soft clicking of wheels echoed down the hallway until they emerged into the morning light. His eyes lit up at sight of vibrant bougainvillea blossoms flanking the hospital entrance and a towering oak stretching skyward. Each turn of the wheel brought both relief and trepidation. "Stepping outside means I'm truly returning to life," he thought. A BMW was parked at the front gate with its back doors open. Elora stood there, wearing a charcoal gray coat, her hair flowing over her shoulders, eyes reddened. As she spotted him, she jumped out of the car and rushed to his side. The air was crisp, raindrops from the overnight drizzle clinging to the maple leaves. Her heart fluttered as she supported him, feeling his slight trembling. You're home." Her voice cracked with emotion. She gently released his oxygen mask. As she inhaled his scent, antiseptic mingled with her own perfume, he closed his eyes, breathing deeply to anchor himself in this moment. "I'm discharged today," he croaked. "Thank you." Tears welled in her eyes. I thought I'd never see you again," she sobbed. He brushed her hair gently and squeezed her hand. "I could endure anything as long as I knew I'd see you again." She managed a hopeful smile. "Let's go home." The BMW's tires rolled along the hospital's internal driveway, carrying them back to the Montclair mansion. On either side of the path stretched rows of fiery poinciana trees, their blossoms carpeting the asphalt. The summer air mingled with the scent of damp earth and blooming flowers. In the distance, the Montclair estate rose, white walls, red-tiled roofs, curved oak veranda posts trimmed in gold leaf. Arlen was seated in the front passenger seat, Elora at the wheel. She glanced in the rearview mirror. "How do you feel?" she asked. He looked out the window, studying the swaying leaves. "Better than I imagined," he said. The slanting sunset light cast a golden aura over his face. The car stopped before the home, an abode brimming with both joy and sorrow. Elora helped him out and guided him into the living room. The interior remained unchanged, a cream leather sofa, a walnut coffee table at its center, a Persian rug beneath their feet, and a Tuscan landscape painting adorning the far wall. He looked around the room, heart contracting. Everything's just as it was. She led him past the dining room with its long oak table. There, his mother-in-law, Mrs. Mildred Montclair, awaited him. Her hair was silver, her cane lightly tapping the floor as she stood. "It's been too long since we last saw you," she said, extending her hands to steady her son-in-law. Elora bowed. "Yes, ma'am." She then supported him. "Dad, please hold him." He nodded and managed a small smile. "Thank you, ma'am." Mrs. Mildred patted his back. "You did well. Rest a bit more here, then return to your parents' home." He pressed his cane, nodding. "I will." One by one, the Montclairs offered their welcome before withdrawing to give the newlyweds privacy. Elora took him to the master bedroom, where they had spent the first month of marriage. The decor remained a refined palette of white and pale blue. The king-sized bed, draped in silk linens, faced a large window that looked out onto the rose garden and lotus pond where they once wandered. He paused at the threshold, drinking in the scene, a small oak desk with a laptop he had left behind, still showing the café tears she shed the day he vanished, a piano in the corner, its keys veiled by a lace cloth. Tentatively, he touched the keys and paused, silent. Elora appeared behind him. "This is our room," she said softly. "I've saved everything for you." He turned, offering her a grateful nod. "Thank you." On his first day home, Arlen spent most of his time resting on a club chair in the living room. Morning light streamed through the curtains, illuminating his tanned, medicated skin. Jade had scheduled therapy sessions each morning in the backyard. Yet despite the invitation, he could manage only a few simple exercises, his right arm still flaring with pain at every flex. Elora stood by the window, wearing a pastel pink sweater. She gazed out onto the rear garden, rows of ruby red roses, white lilies, flowering vines climbing the walls. The breeze carried the fragrance of blossoms. She sighed, thinking, "I've longed to have him here with me, but this road to healing is steeper than I ever imagined." That evening, as he sat receiving basic wound care in the master bedroom, Elora entered. "Have you arranged for the exercise equipment?" he asked. She nodded, eyes filled with sympathy. "They'll bring it by the weekend. I want you to preview it first." He managed a weary smile. I'd like that." She frowned in concern. "But don't overdo it. Too much pain will set you back." He grasped her coat lapel. "I just want to do something useful." She gently tapped his face. "You've done more than enough. Just being alive is enough." His eyes softened. "But I don't want to be a burden." She turned away, cheeks pink. "You're not a burden. You're the man I love." Tears slipped down his cheeks. She wrapped her arms around him, and together they stood bathed in the late afternoon sun streaming through their bedroom, finding a sliver of warmth in two hearts still trembling. Early Tuesday morning, when dew still clung to the garden path, the advanced walking assist machine was delivered and placed next to the wooden bench. Under the cherry tree and fashionably arched arbor, the soft dawn light filtered through leaves. A contingent of doctors and nurses from St. Raphael's had come to guide him. Jade and Min were also present. He donned a navy exercise outfit, right leg braced, shoes designed for shock absorption. The machine featured 2 handrails and a footplate slightly raised from the lawn. Min placed her hand on the railing. "Put your right foot on the pedal, shift your weight, and press down with your heel to protect the knee." He took a deep breath, nodded, and positioned his right foot on the plate, tucking his left toe behind. He pressed gently down, the mechanism engaged, moving him forward in incremental steps. Each motion felt like a test, his muscles not fully healed, but he was determined. Elora watched from nearby, eyes tracking each movement. She remained silent, but her worry was palpable. Is he hurting? Can he persevere? Under his breath, he admitted, "It hurts, but I'm okay." He continued stepping, knuckles whitening on the handrails. Jade nodded approvingly. "That's excellent, consistent pacing. Just 2 minutes, then we'll pause." He pushed on, sweat glinting on his brow, hydrangea blooms trembling in the gusts of spring air. When the machine stopped, his breathing came in ragged gasps. Min offered him water. "Here, drink." He exhaled, "Thank you." Elora approached, placing a hand on his back. "You did wonderfully." Her voice trembled. I'm so proud." He met her gaze, emotion shining through his bloodshot eyes. "I can endure this because of you." She nodded, concern still flickering. "Don't wear yourself out." He offered a weary smile. "I'll stop when I must. I want you to feel safe." In that moment, he conjured an image of a spring rain, he and Elora walking side by side, no knee braces, no awkwardness. "Someday soon," he vowed, "I'll stand tall beside her without needing a nurse's arm." As Min guided him back inside, he paused for a moment to look at his reflection in the hallway glass, standing between past and future, whispering, "Every painful step is worth it if it brings me closer to her." Later that evening, once back in his room, Jade texted him, "Tomorrow, we'll remove your back brace and begin gentle spinal stretches." He closed his eyes, attuned to the dimly lit corridor. When Jade entered the next day, she beckoned him forward, cheerful. Today you can remove that brace so we can start stretching your back. This will help you stand straighter. He sat on the portable bed. Jade used scissors to cut away the plastic support, freeing the brace. Under the deflated confines, a faint, healing scar was revealed. He shuddered as Jade guided him, breathed deeply and leaned back gently. Standing beside him, Jade watched closely. He arched his back, inhaling, then exhaled deliberately, bending his spine. A sharp pang shot down his vertebrae, and he let out a soft gasp. Jade patted his shoulder. That's enough, for now. Keep breathing. He clutched the bed edge, mortified yet determined. I thought I couldn't endure any more pain. Jade's voice was soothing. This discomfort will help you recover thoroughly. Be patient. He nodded again, forcing his back to straighten. Each vertebra felt as though it strained to be freed from imprisonment. A cold tingle traced down his spine, but so did a sense of liberation. I was half alive for too long. Now I want to live fully. That night, the hospital's corridors were quiet, only a faint glow by his door. He returned to room 210B and glanced through the window. Elora sat in the armchair by the window, book in lap, reading intently. His heart constricted at her solemn expression. Gathering courage, he entered the room. Elora startled, lifting the book to her chest. You're here? She asked calmly, eyes glistening. He nodded and stepped forward to sit across from her. Today I worked on my back and legs. It hurt, but I'm managing. He offered a grateful, tentative smile. Thank you for giving me time. She studied him, sorrow mingling with relief. I read Dr. Clara's notes. It says you're suffering from post-traumatic panic. You need support, both physical and emotional. He bowed his head. I know. When I was undercover, I saw comrades fall all around me. I learned to suppress my feelings so I could survive. But the body and mind can only handle so much. Elora closed her eyes, voice softening. I'm sorry for being harsh. I was just terrified. She reached out her hand to him. If you ask me to forgive you, it's not so easy. He trembled with emotion, tears spilling. I won't demand your forgiveness overnight. He cleared his throat, voice choked. I want a chance to make things right. She looked at him, tears in her eyes. What can I do? He took her hand. I need you to know I'm telling the truth. I want to share everything. I want you to understand. She nodded, her tears falling. Please, go ahead. Taking a steadying breath, he began. When I left, I was assigned to a covert mission in border sector Zeta 5, Silva's stronghold for a cross-border drug ring. I collected evidence, but then I discovered a traitor among our ranks. Everything went sideways. I was ambushed, and my superiors suspected I had damaging intel. They sealed communications and faked my death so I could keep working undercover. Elora listened intently, anguish in her eyes. Why didn't you tell me? I was your support. He swallowed, tears glistening. I couldn't. The orders were absolute. Now that I'm back and breathing, the first thing I want to do is lay it all out for you. She placed a hand over his heart. After all you endured. I may not fully comprehend it, but now I know one truth: I need you. He squeezed her hand. Thank you. They sat in silence as the rain pattered outside, the monitor's steady beep, the heater's hum. Under the window, hydrangeas rustled in the breeze. Elora leaned into the chair, gaze on his red-wrapped arm. You faced criminals and also my fury. You endured everything. In that moment, she felt her heart stir. I must try to heal. My wounds may still ache, but I will face them. Arlen bowed his head. Tomorrow I'll continue therapy with Jade. I'd like you to see my progress. His voice was earnest. I need you. Elora gave a small nod, hope shimmering in her eyes. You won't be alone. I'll be here. Night deepened, and only the bedside lamp glowed. Two hearts stood together, mending cracks with each silent step, each gentle word. A new promise took shape: we will rebuild, little by little. Thus, under the soft hospital lights, their first genuine smile in 3 years emerged, an anchor for a reborn love navigating all that lay ahead. The scene in the backyard of the Montclair mansion on a Sunday morning unfolds in fresh, vibrant hues: rows of pink and purple hydrangeas still blooming profusely, rose vines climbing the walls, their lush green leaves swaying gently under the soft early summer sunshine. In the distance, the small lotus pond holds a light morning mist, each pink petal still beaded with dew. The air is fresh, sparrows chirp cheerfully, and the rustle of leaves accompanies a gentle breeze lifting fallen bougainvillea petals. Arlen Montclair, wearing a light gray athletic outfit, his right leg still in a fixed brace and his left foot in a shock-absorbing support shoe, sits leaned against a wooden chair set beneath an ancient pear tree. On the wooden table before him are a pot of warm herbal tea, a few matcha-flavored biscotti, and a plate of peeled pomelo segments. His gaze fixes on the iron gate, eagerly awaiting Elora's emergence from the house. He inhales deeply and exhales slowly. Today will be special. His heart races, for this is the first time in 3 years, since his disappearance, that he and Elora will plant a peach tree together in a garden filled with so many memories. Slanting beams of morning sunlight dance over the paved driveway. Suddenly, the front door swings open, and Elora steps out in a long, cream-colored cotton dress and nude pink flats, carrying a basket filled with gardening gloves and tools, a small shovel, a trowel, pastel-patterned knit gloves, a bag of organic fertilizer, and a miniature watering can. Her hair cascades to her shoulders, her eyes shining with joy shaded by a touch of nervous anticipation. Seeing him, her smile blooms. Ready? He rises to his feet, steadying himself despite a lingering tremor in his leg. He clasps her hand. Absolutely. Determination glints in his eyes. I want to plant this peach tree with my own hands, even if I have to walk slowly, step by step. Elora nods, her gaze full of love. I've already prepared the hole and bought a young Japanese bison peach sapling. She gestures to a tilled patch near the fence, where the soil has been enriched with organic fertilizer and wood ash, ready to welcome a new witness to their love. He studies it and smiles softly. It's perfect. He walks carefully to the pre-dug hole, balancing well with his brace and taking firm hold of the shovel in both hands. She helps him slip on the pastel knit gloves and takes the matching pair for herself. Wear these to keep your hands warm, the soil is still damp and cool. He bends down to dig, gratefully feeling warmth flow through his gloved hands, sensing summer's breath. He lifts shovelfuls of rich, moist earth that break apart like soft clay, exhaling the faint scent of damp soil and dried wood. He nods approvingly. This soil, mixed with wood ash, is excellent. The peach tree will thrive. Elora stands beside him, troweling soil around the edges of the hole, her eyes following his work. Take it slow. There's no rush. He offers a gentle smile. I remember when we walked beneath those blooming peach trees, watching each bud open. Today will be just as wonderful, planting our own tree. She pauses and turns to him. I never imagined such a simple joy could mean so much. He nods, setting the shovel aside and carefully lifting the sapling from its cardboard carrier. The slender trunk's roots are coiled in a moist plastic bag. He bends to untangle the roots, breathing in the subtle scent of earth. Elora places a hand on his shoulder, brush away the excess soil from the roots, then place it gently in the hole. He slowly loosens the soil from around the roots. Dusty earth falls away, glinting in the dappled sunlight. With care, he sets the sapling into the hole, ensuring the trunk stands perfectly upright and the roots are spread evenly. Elora fetches a bucket of organic fertilizer mix and sprinkles spoonfuls around the base. This fertilizer will give it the nutrients it needs at first. Later, you can alternate watering so the nutrients seep in gradually. He fills the hole with soil, tapping the earth lightly with his heel to firm it, all the while cradling the trunk. She helps by pressing soil around the base with her small, cultivated hands. The warmth of his breath at the nape of her neck and his focused expression cause her to look up tenderly. "I've never seen you shine so brightly." He looks back at her, the clear blue sky behind the pear tree framing his face. "Thanks to you." Together, they work in harmony with the gentle sunlight, completing the planting of their new peach tree amid birdsong. The young tree's slender roots anchor into the earth, its trunk rises under the morning sun. He wipes his brow and nods with satisfaction. "It's done. Now, we just need to water it." She picks up the petite watering can and sprinkles water around the base, each droplet scattering, settling on the new leaves. Sunlight passing through those droplets highlights the sapling's fresh green foliage. After tending to the young peach tree, they stroll over to the small lotus pond nearby, the site of so many remembrances. The pond's surface is still, shrouded by lotus leaves. A few pink blooms hover shyly above the water. The fragrance of lotus blends with the scent of damp earth, filling them with serenity. He sits on a stone bench beside the pond. She joins him, her pink pastel sweater riding up slightly, revealing the small of her back. He gazes at the newly planted peach tree through the overhead branches, then turns to admire the lotus. "Every time I see this view, it feels like I'm reborn." She rests a hand on his shoulder. "We'll need to care for that peach tree carefully, so that each spring its blossoms bring us joy." He nods. "I will." A tear glints in his eye as he recalls 3 long years apart. "Thank you for giving me this chance." She smiles gently. "There's nothing to thank me for. As long as we keep working together." Saying this, she leans forward slightly, her eyes lowered. "I still worry, though, that I might lose you again." He speaks quietly. "I'll stay by your side. No matter what, I won't repeat the old mistakes." In that moment, their hearts beat in unison, echoing a gentle happiness, like the lotus blossoms that open under the midday sun. That afternoon, after calling Jade to schedule the next physical therapy session, Elora proposes, "Tomorrow, let's go to Nearwood to buy books for the library. I never got a chance last year, and now that you're stronger, we can go together." He smiles. "Good idea. I'd like to get out and change the scenery." She squeezes his hand, nodding. "I'll source some affordable children's books for underprivileged kids in the area." He nods, thoughtful. "That's wonderful. I'll drive us there and help carry the books." She beams. "I can't wait." The following morning, as sunlight pools beneath the birch-lined road, the Montclair family's black sedan glides through the gates, heading 25 miles to the city of Nearwood. Through the tinted windows, dappled sunlight weaves patterns on the seats. Elora sits in the front passenger seat, clutching her color-printed book list, eyes twinkling with youthful joy. He drives slowly, watching golden rays slant across the road. "We used to walk around Somerville for dates, now we're on a whole new path." She laughs. Everything feels fresh. He thinks of the quinhoa, glorious bloom, the symbol of love and the will to live, that is now stirring to life in their garden. Although Nearwood is smaller than San Gabriel, its town center still evokes a charming New England vibe: low red brick buildings, polished cobblestone sidewalks, and the cafe The Old Elm wafting the scent of freshly baked pastries through its open door. The Montclairs park in front of the Nearwood Goodwill Library, a 3-story structure with a tiled roof and white walls, its wooden sign weathered but still legible. Beneath the windows hang pots of roses. Inside, wooden bookshelves line the walls, packed with children's titles. The faint smell of old paper mingles with a sense of history and nostalgia. Elora steps in, moving slowly among the shelves, her eyes welling. "Look at all these illustrated stories and fairy tales. Many are damaged, but plenty remain usable." He trails behind, observing, "If we add some coloring books and drawing paper, the kids will love it." She nods, exactly. Could you pick out some old Doraemon volumes for my third graders? I also want a few copies of the wonderful book to decorate the library. He smiles warmly. I remember how the kids always talked about Doraemon. Together they comb the shelves, Elora reading each title aloud. Set of 12 Doraemon volumes, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Aesop's Fables for Children, The Ugly Duckling in the original edition. She eagerly thumbs through simple but warm illustrations. He sits on a wooden chair by a window, watching her joyfully jot down titles. You always find hidden treasures. She blushes slightly. I just want to give these children a little corner of happy memories. He watches her, heart swelling. I'll buy everything, no disappointments. At the end of their visit, they load the books into the car and head back to the Montclair mansion, the setting sun casting a fiery glow across the green fields. They glance at one another. Every book in the back seat feels like a promise of gentle renewal. Back home, they place the books in the small library room and spend time sorting them on newly purchased shelves. The house feels warm again, filling him with a sense of reunion like no other. That evening, when dusk falls and the sky darkens, he suggests, "Could you play the piano for me?" Elora smiles and moves to the piano in the corner, its keys draped with a lace cloth. She sits and her fingers find the first notes of River Flows in You, a gentle melody echoing throughout the room. He stays silent, eyes closed, absorbing each note. She transitions into Comme dans autre été, the hauntingly beautiful theme from Amélie, evoking both yearning and hope. Her breath quickens, yet the music flows smoothly. He listens as her notes blend with the nighttime breeze slipping through the slightly open window, as if underscoring how love can bloom again after any storm. When the piece ends, she looks up, tears in her eyes. I only practiced enough to play this for you. He takes her hand. Thank you. Your music brings me more peace than anything else. She approaches and gently kisses his cheek. You are the most beautiful melody of all to me. Those words prompt a rare, tender smile from him. The room falls silent under the soft glow of the lamp, marking their first true moment of connection after 3 years apart. At midnight, moonlight streams through the bedroom window, pooling on the floor. He stirs awake, studying her as she sleeps peacefully. The house is still except for the hum of the air conditioning. He recalls the past, 3 years lost, the endless pain that now, at last, subsides day by day. Moonlight silhouettes her figure on the wall, conjuring the image of a fragile quinhoa, night-blooming flower. He leans forward to kiss a lock of her chestnut hair, heart fluttering. I'm back now. I won't let you face this alone. Silently, he withdraws to his own side and inhales the lingering scent of her herbal tea. Sleep overtakes him, filled with hope for tomorrow when their young peach tree will unfurl its first bud, a living testament to a brand new love. The next morning, as the first rays of dawn filter through the bedroom, they awaken together. He pulls the blanket over her and presses a kiss to her forehead. Good morning, my wife. She smiles, sleep still in her eyes. Good morning, my husband. Their eyes meet, and all lingering distance from the past 3 years dissolves. Tomorrow, they will plant climbing jasmine on the opposite wall, that the vine may drape the garden in gentle shade. He will take her to visit his old students, introducing them to their library, and she will help him finalize the paperwork for his special patient commendation. Hand in hand, they descend the stairs to join his parents for a weekend brunch. The scent of sizzling pans and cheerful conversation fills the kitchen. He squeezes her hand. Today we'll cook breakfast together, preparing for a busy day ahead. She nods, face glowing. Yes, let's do it. Everything feels warmer when we're together. Amid laughter and the warm glow of morning light, they close the chapter on past suffering and open their hearts to new life. Their peach tree stands firmly in the garden, the jasmine vine readies to climb, and their renewed song resonates, a new melody of returning blooms of love, justice, and knowledge. Early on a Tuesday morning, the Montclair living room hums with unusual activity. Soft sunlight filters through white voile curtains, illuminating the intricate patterns of the Persian rug. A large walnut dining table has been extended into the sunroom, 10 antique gray upholstered chairs set around it to welcome guests for St. Raphael's special patient recognition event. Elora Whitfield moves briskly, directing staff, place more pink roses and purple hydrangeas in that glass vase. The buffet table should be near the window so natural light can brighten it. She arranges 2 red roses into a vase, carefully placing each dish on the table. Her eyes glow with happiness mixed with a hint of nervousness. This ceremony is important. I need to help him look his best. Across the room, Arlen Montclair reclines on a cream-colored chaise lounge wearing a neatly tailored navy suit and dark teal tie. Though he has regained mobility, his legs still bear the scars of his ordeal, one in a supporting brace, the other in a shock-absorbing shoe. In his mind, he thinks, this ceremony could be the stepping stone for me to return to work or resume normal life. A gentle knock comes at the front door. Mrs. Mildred Montclair enters, dressed in a patterned knit jacket over a pale blue midi skirt, placing a comforting hand on her grandson's shoulder. "Dear boy, I saw the announcement from the communications office. Today isn't just about the hospital's recognition, it's also a moment for our entire family to shine." She glances around the room. "I've prepared pastries and drinks. Everything will go smoothly." Arlen offers her a heartfelt smile. "Thank you, Grandma. I'm a bit anxious, but I can handle it." She pats his shoulder. "You've weathered many storms. Now it's time for joy. Everyone needs to witness your triumph." By 9 a.m., the Montclair family's black sedan pulls up to the hospital entrance. On board are Arlen, Elora, Mrs. Mildred Montclair, and Mrs. Margaret Whitfield, Elora's mother, who is elegantly dressed in a tweed dress and a black cloche hat trimmed with feathers. Mrs. Whitfield's eyes brim with tears of pride and relief for her daughter. The St. Raphael's Auditorium, on the ground floor, feels both spacious and intimate. 6 rows of gray upholstered chairs form 2 aisles leading up to a small stage. A blue backdrop bears the hospital's logo, 2 hands cradling a heart, symbolizing compassion and hope. In front of the dais stands a low table holding 2 vases of white orchids and pink lilies, and 3 chairs for the honored guests. By now, the room is filled with doctors, nurses, hospital staff, representatives from the Community Relations Department, executives from the Employee Assistance Program, a few of Arlen's former Metro PD colleagues, and members of the For the Children charity group. All are dressed formally, their eyes eager to greet the special honoree. Soft piano music drifts through the speakers. "River Flows in You," a piece Elora once played for Arlen, its gentle melody filling the air. Chills pass through him as he sits quietly behind Mrs. Montclair. Elora squeezes his hand. "You can do it." The program's host, Mr. Roberts, steps onto the stage, adjusting the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, we gather this morning to honor extraordinary survivors, patients who have faced severe trauma and returned stronger than before. Among them, we are privileged to recognize Officer Arlen Montclair, an undercover detective who sacrificed everything for justice and has returned home as a hero." Applause bursts forth from the audience. He leans back, nerves fluttering as dozens of eyes turn to him. Elora whispers, "You are doing great." After Mr. Roberts escorts him up the steps to the stage, Mrs. Whitfield and Mrs. Montclair flank him on either side of the blue backdrop. The host continues, "Now please welcome Mr. Jack Wynne, former teammate and current Deputy Commander of Task Force MO9, for a few words." Commander Wynne, a sturdy figure with a quietly determined face, walks to the podium and offers a respectful bow. "I and the MO9 team served alongside Arlen for many years. When we learned of his disappearance, our hearts shattered. Today, seeing him standing before us, strong once again, is a profound honor. He is not just a comrade, but a true hero. He gestures toward Arlen. No one could deserve this recognition more. Another round of hearty applause fills the hall. Arlen bows, tears sliding down his cheeks. The host then introduces several other speakers, Dr. Neil, Ms. Jade, representatives of For the Children. Each shares anecdotes of Arlen's resilience, from being critically wounded by a gunshot to stabilized treatment and finally to his remarkable recovery. Ms. Jade rises to speak. I'm the physical therapist who supported Arlen for the past 2 months. Every day, I witnessed him endure excruciating pain, yet he always smiled at me. His spirit is extraordinary. Today, as he stands here, he isn't merely a patient, he's an inspiration to anyone grappling with trauma. I'm honored to have been part of his journey. Overwhelmed, Arlen bows his head. During the brief intermission, a small tea buffet opens behind the auditorium. Guests approach to shake his hand and offer congratulations. Mr. Jackson Lee, president of the Disability Advocacy Council, Ms. Jenny Tran from For the Children, and several of Elora's former students' parents. Each warm greeting reinforces his sense of community. In one corner, Elora speaks with Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, today I'm launching the Children's Book Fund. Our goal is to build a library and donate books to underprivileged kids. All the new and gently used books we acquired today will go directly to schools in remote areas. Mr. Lee smiles kindly. We fully support education. Once the fund reaches its goal, we'll work together to distribute books to Highland schools. Elora beams, thank you. This is also Arlen's dream, to help the community. She glances at Arlen, who is signing copies of the hospital newsletter with genuine pride in his eyes. Meanwhile, Mrs. Margaret Whitfield approaches him with a bouquet of white orchids. My dear son-in-law, you truly deserve this honor. I'm so proud of you. Her voice trembles. Congratulations. He nods, voice thick with emotion, thank you. At 11 a.m., the host returns to the podium. Now it is my privilege to announce the final award, the Recovery Inspiration Award for this year's Most Exceptional Patient, as selected by the organizing committee and medical experts. A serene melody plays, and a spotlight illuminates the lectern. Please welcome Mr. Arlen Montclair to receive his certificate. He steps onto the dais, arm bracing on a railing, as cheers and applause wash over him. When the host presents the certificate and the medal engraved with Inspire Recovery 2025, he leans forward, tears glistening. Thank you to the organizing committee, to all of my doctors, to Ms. Jade, and Nurse Seymin for never giving up on me. Finally, I dedicate this honor to my wife, my reason for enduring every hardship. Through misty eyes, he scans the audience until they meet Elora's, whose applause is thunderous. Elora Whitfield, her unwavering faith and support gave me the strength to persevere. The auditorium erupts once more. He bows and adds, voice steady, I promise to use this medal as motivation to continue upholding justice and to keep serving the community, especially the children. At noon, the ceremony concludes. Their black sedan departs the parking lot as guests wave farewell. Afternoon sunlight glows warmly through the car's windows, bathing the couple's faces. Arlen sits quietly, eyes brimming with wonder. I never expected this day, yet now I want to savor it. Elora smiles, seeing his captivated expression. How about a stroll by the pond, or a quick stop at the old elm in Nearwood? He nods, I'd love a drive together. She brightens, I know a place with incredible apple pie. The old elm sits at a corner in Nearwood as dusk falls. 2-story red brick buildings line the street, the wooden sign weathered but inviting. Inside, the scent of spiced apple pie and coffee drifts through the quaint European-style tile floor. Small wooden tables line the glass windows. They sit side by side at a corner table, each ordering warm apple pie and a cup of white-hot cocoa. The sweetness of cocoa and the tart warmth of spiced apple meld perfectly, creating a cozy atmosphere. Elora studies him, smiling. you look years younger." He smiles back, "I feel reborn. Those dark days still haunt me, but when I sit beside you, I feel safe." She rests a hand on his shoulder, "You've faced so much. Now, I'll stay by your side." Moments later, Mr. Wynne and Ms. Jade arrive. Mr. Wynne exclaims, "Arlen, you look so happy." Ms. Jade adds, "I always believed you'd be okay. Now you just need to find your place." Mr. Wynne sits, "You've served society well. Now let's draft some sessions for you to share your recovery experience with younger officers." Arlen sips his cocoa, voice gentle, "I'd be honored." Elora beams, "I'll handle the community outreach and publicity." As the self-playing piano on the corner begins Comme tine dans autre été, their small group shares light laughter, enjoying a rare, peaceful evening. Returning home at night, the Montclair backyard is aglow with lanterns strung across the garden. The young peach tree sways in the breeze. Elora places 2 scented candles on a small wooden table under the tree, notes of cinnamon and rose filling the air. Standing beside her, Arlen places a hand on her shoulder. "Tonight, in honor of the tree, let's light these candles and pray for our love and dreams to bloom." She smiles as she leans in to ignite the candles. "Tonight, I just want to thank you for being here." He bends to brush her hair with his lips. "Thank you, for being the one who stayed when I fell." Silence envelops them as the candles flicker beneath the night sky, a final note of their recovery song resonating through the calm darkness. Moonlight bathes the garden, drifting across the water, illuminating the young peach tree's shadow. They sit together, hearts brimming with hope. The cicadas hum and the wind rustles the bougainvillea, all weaving a tapestry of new life. Arlen squeezes her hand, whispering, "Tomorrow we'll plan the recovery workshop for our department, but for now, I want to cherish each moment with you." Elora's eyes shine with promise. "I agree. Let's face the future together." Under the clear night sky, as the candlelight dances in the darkness, they mend old wounds with the warmth of shared breath and steadfast vows. This final chorus, of resilience, faith, and lasting love, opens a new chapter of bright days ahead. Early the next Tuesday, when the first pale rays of sunlight filter through the poinciana trees, the Montclair mansion is once again abuzz with activity. The hum of a vacuum cleaner echoes as the housekeeper diligently smooths out the Persian rug in the living room. The large walnut dining table is now extended into the sunroom near the window, chairs upholstered in antique gray fabric arranged around it. Mrs. Mildred Montclair stands at the foyer, surveying the arrangement. Place the table close to the window, so guests can view the newly planted peach tree outside. Head housekeeper Clara nods and addresses the staff in a hushed tone, "Yes, ma'am." The table will be dressed in a cream-colored cloth, accented by pink lotus blooms and small red roses among green foliage. She quickly directs helpers to bring in white orchid vases and additional lavender pots to freshen the air. On the second-floor balcony, Elora finalizes the guest list: Metro PD representatives, Mr. Jack Wynne, Ms. Jade, Dr. Neal, Mr. Roberts, Community Relations, a few parents from her elementary school, and members of the For the Children charity. She reviews each name with care: phone numbers, notes, vegetarian, shellfish allergy, her face radiating happiness tinged with nerves. "I want this reception to be warm, so no one feels awkward." Once she confirms the final headcount by phone, she calls Montclair family's private chef, Mr. Martin Franklin, a native Frenchman, to discuss the menu. "Chef Franklin, we have 25 guests today. Please prepare the following: salmon en croûte with herbed cream sauce, honey rosemary roasted chicken, steamed asparagus with lemon butter sauce, mixed green salad with vinaigrette, for our vegetarian friends, and Nearwood-style apple pie for dessert. Also, a cheese platter featuring brie and camembert, hazelnut biscuits, and a red Cabernet Sauvignon." Chef Franklin replies, "Ms. Whitfield, everything will be ready by 6 p.m. I'll do a final check at 3 o'clock this afternoon." Elora thanks him and slips into a pink pastel sweater to assist with last-minute kitchen preparations. In her mind, she rehearses a brief speech. First, thank love, perseverance, and community spirit. She murmurs the draft. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, Elora Whitfield, and my husband, Arlen Montclair, we sincerely thank you for gathered support. Your encouragement has given us strength. She flips the paper, sighing softly, nothing flowery, just genuine. By 5 p.m., the Montclair black sedan pulls into the driveway. The hood is adorned with a bouquet of red roses, where guests might place their gifts. Mr. Roberts and his wife, Ms. Joanna Roberts, wrapped in a crimson velvet scarf, step out, cheerfully guided inside. Shortly after, Mr. Jack Wynne arrives in a charcoal gray suit, eyes bright. He pats the hood of the car affectionately. Arlen. How are you, man? Arlen steps out, offering a calm nod. I'm fine, Jack. Thank you for coming. The two embrace, the firm grip a testament to brotherhood. Ms. Jade appears next, carrying a bouquet of pure white orchids. She hands the flowers to Elora, a small token of congratulations. Elora takes the bouquet gratefully, her eyes alight. Thank you, Jade. I cherish it. Approaching the front door, Mrs. Margaret Whitfield and Mrs. Mildred Montclair greet them with hugs. Mrs. Whitfield says, "Today is such a special day. Let's enjoy it." Inside, the living room glows under soft golden light. Gray upholstered wooden chairs line both sides of the room, forming an aisle that leads to the reception table. At the end of the table, scented white candles, citrus and green tea, burn softly. Each empty seat is draped with a lace-edged cover, awaiting the arrival of 25 honored guests. Exactly at 6 p.m., a hush descends. The host, Mr. Roberts, stands and taps the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our thank you reception. Applause swells throughout the room. He smiles warmly at Elora and Arlen. Please welcome our hosts, the Montclair couple, to say a few words. Arlen rises slowly, steadying himself with each step. He approaches the small platform beside the reception table, his gaze finding Elora's supportive eyes as she stands by his side. He inhales deeply and speaks with conviction. Ladies and gentlemen, first, I express my heartfelt gratitude to the Board of Directors at St. Raphael's Hospital, especially to Dr. Neil, Ms. Jade, and Nurse Seymin for their devoted care these past 2 months. Thank you to Mr. Jack Wynne and the MO9 Task Force for standing by me. I know I was never alone. Most importantly, thank you to my wife, Elora, my guiding light through every challenge. You believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Finally, thank you to each guest here today, friends, colleagues, family. Your support has fueled my recovery. He pauses, bowing in appreciation as the room erupts in applause. He steps down, passing the microphone to Elora. Elora ascends the platform, simple in her cream dress, voice steady but emotional. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest joy of my life is walking beside my husband, who sacrificed so much and returned home as a hero. On behalf of the Montclair and Whitfield families, thank you for your unwavering support and faith in us. I am also thrilled to announce the launch of our Children's Book Fund. Its mission is to build libraries and donate books to underprivileged children. All the new and gently used books we collected today will be delivered directly to remote schools. If you wish to give further, please contact us at kanzamontclair@gmail.com, mail to kanzamontclair@gmail.com. We hope to bring knowledge and hope to all children, just as love brought healing to us. Thunderous applause follows. Mrs. Margaret Whitfield nods approvingly. Teaching children is a noble work. Congratulations to you both. With the speeches concluded, guests move to the buffet area. Chef Franklin presents each dish with care. The aroma of melted cheese, fresh herbs, and butter lemon sauce fills the air. Guests sample and enthuse, the salmon en croûte with tangy citrus, the honey rosemary roast chicken, the crisp asparagus with lemon butter glaze, the fresh green salad, and the Nearwood-style apple pie. Mr. Jacquin raises his glass of Cabernet. On behalf of the MO9 team, we toast Arlen's milestone. Here's to your happiness. Everyone echoes cheers. Ms. Jade turns to Elora. You look stunning tonight. Arlen is so fortunate. Elora smiles softly. I am the lucky one. Nearby, some parents from Riverside Elementary, who remember her passionate teaching, line up to congratulate her. One young mother, Ms. Lan, says, Ms. Whitfield, I never imagined I'd see you celebrated like this. Thank you for bringing books into our children's lives. Elora bows, thank you, Ms. Lan. The children are my greatest motivation. Seeing their eager eyes reminds me why I keep going. Meanwhile, Dr. Neil and Nurse Se-min chat with Arlen. You are the most remarkable patient I've ever treated, Dr. Neil says with a proud smile. I'd like to invite you to join our community health training program, sharing your recovery story. Nurse Se-min adds, not only did you heal physically, but you showed incredible mental strength. Others will need to hear your journey. He nods earnestly, I would be honored. As the evening winds down, the golden light bathes the faces of the remaining guests. Mrs. Mildred Montclair and Mrs. Margaret Whitfield sit together in a quiet corner, reflecting. Mrs. Montclair remarks, Elora has truly grown. Watching her journey from an elementary school teacher to now. I'm so happy. Mrs. Whitfield nods, voice tender, I'm proud of my daughter. And now, her husband is back in normal life. I hope he continues serving but never forgets his family. Mrs. Montclair agrees, after all they've been through, they need to keep their faith and love. I just want him to take care of himself. Nearby, Mrs. Tran, another parent, leans to Elora, Ms. Whitfield, I have some old children's stories to donate. They've been on my shelf for years. Elora's eyes shine as she accepts them. Thank you, Mrs. Tran. I'll send these to the library right away. By 9 p.m., most guests have departed. Arlen switches on the home's internal sound system in the living room. Comtine dans autre été drifts through the space. He takes Elora's hand. Today, I feel truly welcomed back. She rests her head on his shoulder. After 3 dark years, we can finally start a new chapter. He strokes her hair. I know there are still challenges ahead, more therapy, training younger officers, supporting the book fund, but having you by my side is everything. The music flows into the quiet night, their synchronized breaths a testament to resilience. The next morning, after sharing brunch with family, Arlen and Elora drive to Riverside Elementary, where they attend the library launch ceremony. Hundreds of students line up on the schoolyard, eagerly awaiting the grand opening of the small library. A sign above the door reads, Montclair Whitfield Library. A corner inside the library is furnished with a yellow leather armchair, where Arlen will read to the children each week. Elora stands beside the principal, handing him a microphone. We are so happy to contribute a small part to your school. I hope you all take time to read and let your dreams grow. The students applaud enthusiastically, eyes bright as they gaze at stacks of books, Doraemon, Tom Sawyer, fairy tales, Aesop's fables. They practically chant each title as if singing a song of joy. Arlen feels tears prick his eyes. I may not be a doctor, but I can share my story of survival to inspire you all to persevere. A little girl raises her hand. Mr. Montclair, did it hurt when you were shot? He bends to her height. Yes, it hurt a lot. But I had Elora and my family by my side. If you have people who believe in you, you can get through anything. Applause and cheers fill the air. In Elora's classroom, the students whisper excitedly, Ms. Whitfield, can we start reading first? She grins. Next week, class. Be ready. That afternoon, Arlen returns to Metro PD, the place he served before going undercover. He meets his old comrade, now Task Force MO9 Commander Michael Thompson. Commander Thompson clasps his shoulder. Montclair. You're back. Arlen smiles. Yes, I'm ready to resume duties. But I also want to continue the community project with Elora. Commander Thompson nods. We'll assign you to the Special Operations Training Division. You can share your undercover experience and recovery journey with younger officers. Arlen's eyes light up. I would be honored. Commander Thompson gestures toward the briefing room. Tomorrow morning, join us for the strategy meeting. For now, tell me everything, Silva, the mole in our ranks. Arlen nods firmly. I will. As night falls over the city, golden lamplight spills across the back garden. The young peach tree stirs in the breeze, and paper lanterns hang from the branches, flickering softly. Elora brings out 2 scented candles and places them on a small wooden table beneath the peach tree, aromas of cinnamon and rose filling the night air. Standing beside her, Arlen places a hand on her shoulder. Tonight, in honor of this tree, let's light these candles and pray for our love and dreams to flourish. She smiles as she leans down to ignite them. Tonight, I just want to thank you for your presence. He bends to kiss her hair. Thank you for being with me when I almost gave up. They stand silently, watching the flames glow in the nighttime stillness. Cicadas hum, the wind rustles leaves, and the garden fills with a renewed sense of life. Arlen gently squeezes her hand, whispering, tomorrow, we'll plan the departmental recovery workshop, but for now, let's simply be here together. Elora's eyes sparkle with hope. I agree. Together, we'll face whatever comes next. Under the clear night sky, the candlelight dances, and they heal old wounds through the warmth of shared breath and steadfast vows. This final verse of their recovery song marks a new beginning, a bright chapter of love, justice, and knowledge. Early on Monday morning of the following week, soft sunlight filters through the poinciana trees in front of the Montclair mansion. Sparrows chirp around the bougainvillea hedges, and the scent of hydrangeas drifts through the cool air. Arlen Montclair awakens first, sitting up on the edge of the bed and glancing toward the armchair where Elora still sleeps soundly. Her expression is unnervingly peaceful, no trace of the worries from the past 3 years. He gently brushes a lock of her hair and thinks, a new life begins today. The sound of running water from the bathroom pulls him out of his reverie. He stands quietly, watching her silhouette in the dawn light that streams through the large window. Even though the scar on his temple still aches when he moves, his heart warms at the sight of her at ease. He smiles softly and slips out into the hallway, heading toward the kitchen. In the spacious kitchen, Mrs. Mildred Montclair is brewing black tea while Chef Franklin, his private chef, prepares cheese omelets and freshly baked bread. Mrs. Margaret Whitfield stands by the counter, holding a loaf of bread still warm from yesterday's bake. Where is Elora? Mrs. Mildred asks, eyes searching the kitchen doorway. Chef Franklin lowers his frying pan from the stove with a smile. She just came downstairs. By the look of her, she's as bright as spring this morning. At that moment, Elora appears, dressed in a white shirt dress and light blue jeans. Her hair is still damp, carrying the faint fragrance of bougainvillea after her shower. She smiles. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chef Franklin. Arlen approaches from the hallway and sits beside her. Good morning, wife. I've made coffee for you. He places a steaming cup of coffee on the table. Elora clasps his hand, returning his smile. Good morning, husband. This coffee smells wonderful. The Montclair family gathers around the breakfast table, laughter echoing in the bright kitchen. Chef Franklin arranges plates and dishes, seasoning a cheese omelet before placing it in front of Arlen. You've endured a lot of pain lately, he says gently. I made you a mild cheese omelet to warm your body and soothe your spirit. Arlen nods gratefully, tasting the omelet. Thank you, chef. His face reflects genuine appreciation. They all share the meal in a warm, comfortable atmosphere. Elora leans in and whispers, "This afternoon I'll be at Riverside Elementary for the library development meeting." Mrs. Margaret smiles. "Go right ahead, dear. We support you." At that moment, there's a polite knock on the kitchen door. Mr. Jacquin steps in, carrying his leather satchel. "Morning, Montclairs. Today we have the first training session for the young recruits. Arlen, you ready?" Arlen rises, washes his hands at the sink, and then clasps Jack's hand. "I'm ready." Jack nods enthusiastically. "Great. We leave at 2 p.m., okay?" Elora places her hand on Arlen's. "Don't forget to take your medication before you go." He leans in to kiss her forehead. "Everything's under control." By 10 a.m., Elora drives her two-seater car to Riverside Elementary. The school's architecture, red brick walls, brown tiled roofs, and green-trimmed porches, evokes a 1950s charm. Students stand in neat lines on the courtyard, clad in dark uniforms, their wooden chairs arranged in rows for an assembly. The principal, Mrs. Elena Garcia, greets Elora and Arlen as they enter the boardroom. The room is spacious, with warm beige walls and a large chalkboard reading in white chalk, "Riverside Elementary Library Development Meeting." Long tables ringed by chairs sit beneath worn bookshelves. Mrs. Elena begins, "We are here to discuss our new library development plan. Ms. Whitfield, project lead, please present your proposal." Elora stands and addresses the assembly calmly and confidently. "Esteemed members of the board of directors, teachers, and parents. Our current library has fallen into disrepair, shelves collapse, and essential books are missing. The children here deserve a proper learning environment. With the funding and books generously donated by the Montclair Whitfield families, I propose the following plan. Renovate the reading room, repaint the walls, install new hardwood flooring, and add ceiling fans and LED lights. Purchase 300 new children's books, storybooks, fairy tales, and introductory science and exploration volumes. Establish a book club for grades 1 to 5, meeting every Friday morning. Launch a weekly story time program hosted by Officer Montclair, where he will read stories to the students and share his recovery experience." Her words appear on a PowerPoint slide projected at the front of the room. Mrs. Elena nods approvingly. "This is a very practical plan. The board will review the budget approval process, and I will let you know as soon as possible." Teachers and parents applaud enthusiastically. Several teachers move closer to Elora afterward and ask, "Do you need any additional supplies? We'd love to help." Elora smiles and replies, "We will need a few old computers, child-sized tables and chairs, and additional bookshelves. Any support from you would be invaluable." Mrs. Elena stands and says, "Riverside's library will come to life thanks to this community effort." Arlen, standing beside her, watches each eager face and thinks, "This is wonderful. I want this project to last so that these children never lack books." At lunchtime, Arlen returns to the Montclair mansion, but not to the bedroom. He brings a stack of lecture notes formatted into a PowerPoint on his small laptop, settling into the library room beside the newly installed bookshelves. Midday, he answers a call from Ms. Jade. "Arlen, this afternoon we have the emergency response training for the young officers. We meet at M09 headquarters at 2 p.m. Arlen nods even though she is on the other end of the line. "I'll be there on time." She chuckles. "Don't forget to be careful. Your legs still need rest." He smiles. "I'll wear my brace and use my cane." After hanging up, he looks at the young peach sapling outside his window and reminds himself, "I have to stay strong, not just for myself, but for my wonderful wife." At 2 p.m., Arlen drives slowly to Metro PD headquarters. The M09 unit is down in the basement, its entrance coded for security. Commander Jacquin waits at the gate, looking excited. Montclair. Ready? Arlen steadies himself with his cane and braces, dressed in his uniform. I'm ready. The M09 training courtyard is a 200 square meter space paved with anti-slip tiles. Targets for live fire drills, mobile barricades, and mock-up doors have been set up for emergency scenario exercises. More than a dozen enthusiastic young recruits line up, their eyes shining as Arlen steps forward to speak. Jack introduces him. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is a special training session. We have with us Master Sergeant Arlen Montclair, who, after his undercover mission in Zeta 5, disappeared and returned from a life-threatening injury. He will share his experiences and teach basic tactics. Arlen offers a small smile and hears murmurs of admiration from the younger officers. Thank you all for being here. I hope to share what I've learned. Today, we will practice building clearing and hostage rescue techniques. Over there is a mock house. You'll enter, split into teams, and use your infrared sights and non-lethal training weapons to secure the building. He explains step by step how to hold and sweep with a weapon safely, toggle infrared optics, respond to commands, and select concealment positions. The recruits listen intently, nodding. For the practical exercise, they divide into 2 teams of 6. Arlen stands back and watches, thumbs tucked behind his belt. A signal horn sounds, the teams move toward the mock structure, clearing it with precision. He monitors their movements, offering corrections. Don't stand in the open, move decisively. When I call advance, move to cover immediately. One young officer hesitates mid-step. Arlen approaches and gently taps his shoulder. Stay confident. You must coordinate tightly with your teammates. Consider this practice, no pressure. The officer nods and moves with steadier footing. The exercise wraps up to enthusiastic applause from the recruits. They cluster around Arlen with questions. Sergeant, if this were real? Arlen places a hand on the shoulder of the youngest recruit. We must always prepare mentally. In a real mission, no one has the right to panic. Remember, we stand here to protect the public. Silence falls in admiration, then Arlen continues, I lost a teammate, so I know this, the biggest responsibility is staying calm. If you have loved ones waiting, family, spouse, that is your greatest motivation. After the training, Commander Wynne claps Arlen on the back. Well done. The young officers will remember this. Arlen offers a modest smile. They're the future. I'm just passing on what I can. That evening, he returns home as the sun dips below the horizon. Elora has prepared a simple dinner: pumpkin soup, steamed rice, and herb-seasoned steamed salmon. Mrs. Mildred sits in an armchair reading, her face kind. Elora stands in the kitchen doorway, hand clasping Arlen's cane. As he steps inside, she asks, How was training today? He removes his jacket and hangs it on the hook, smiling as he responds, Excellent. They were eager and quick to learn. His pride is evident. I felt like I really made a difference. She pours a bowl of pumpkin soup for him. Eat up. You need the nutrients. He savors a spoonful. Sweet and fragrant, thank you, love. She sits beside him, serving rice. Tomorrow I'll reply to emails and schedule the book distribution. He gently strokes her hand. I'll go with you. They share dinner together, their faces reflecting the warmth of family happiness. That evening passes in soft laughter and whispered plans. Later, Elora slips into the library corner where the piano awaits. She lifts the lid, and her fingers find the first notes of Debussy's Clair de Lune. The gentle arpeggios fill the room. Moonlight glints on the keys as she plays, and Arlen enters quietly, standing behind her in the dim glow. Her playing flows into River Flows in You, merging with the soft night breeze drifting in through the partly open window. He listens with closed eyes, transporting himself back to when they first bonded over music. He now stands as a witness to her healing art. When the final note fades, she lowers her hands and looks up to see him there. "Are you home now?" He nods, stepping forward to sit beside her. "Yes, I'm home." He slides a hand onto the piano bench and adds a few bars of his own melody, weaving into her refrain. They share that musical moment, their hearts beating as one. As the melody ends, they move outdoors to the backyard. The moon hangs low in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the young peach tree. A light mist clings to the hydrangea blossoms. Arlen enfolds her in his arms and whispers, "Tomorrow, let's record that training session and post it for the community, so they know you can overcome anything." Elora strokes his shoulder. "I know you'll succeed." The night cicadas hum softly, carrying their shared melody through the stillness. Under the pale moonlight, he and she gaze at the sapling cradled by its protective marker, etched with their names. At its base, footprints pressed into the damp earth promise that the tree will root firmly. He leans close and murmurs, "Together, we'll care for it and watch it bloom." She smiles, eyes shining. "Then let's plant a plum tree next, so our hearts will always bear fruit." He cups her face and kisses her forehead. A bright future awaits. Beneath the tranquil night sky, in the flicker of candlelight, they seal their final verse of the recovery song, one of enduring love, unbroken dreams, and the unceasing journey of rebirth.